Chapter 1429. After completely fusing with the life force of the heavenly spirit root, the immortal devil monster recovered another 10% of its strength, reaching the level of a 9 Tao Saint Immortal. After so many years, the immortal devil monster didn't remain idle. It devoured more than 20 of the 100 divine essence pills that Su Fong extorted from Feng Wuzi, allowing it to recover another 20% of its strength, surpassing the Saint Immortal realm and reaching the level of an immortal venerable. It usually took millions or even tens of millions of years to break through from the Saint Immortal realm to the immortal venerable realm. However, the immortal devil monster was different. It was the fusion of Tsanghuan immortal venerable and demon venerable ancient Ming. It didn't face any bottlenecks or shackles in its cultivation. It only needed the help of heaven and earth spiritual items to recover its physical body. Although the immortal devil monster's strength was still quite far away from Tsanghuan immortal venerable and demon venerable ancient Ming, it was still an immortal venerable expert after all. Moreover, after the immortal devil monster became an immortal venerable, its special abilities began to emerge. In addition, Su Fong's cultivation kept increasing. His second primordial spirit also transformed. Moreover, his second primordial spirit was also constantly cultivating the heavenly devil disintegration seal. At this moment, the strength of his primordial spirit had reached an extremely terrifying level. It could even crush ordinary immortal venerable experts. Sensing the vast and strange aura of the immortal devil monster, Lady Frozen Dream revealed a shocked expression. Immortal venerable expert? There's actually an immortal venerable expert following this brat's orders? What kind of existence was an immortal venerable expert? It was actually following the orders of a Tao Saint immortal cultivator. Moreover, the immortal devil monster's aura was similar to that of an immortal and devil, yet was neither immortal nor devil. Even with Lady Frozen Dream's knowledge, she had never seen such an existence before. So you have an immortal venerable expert as your backing. No wonder you dare to be so arrogant in front of me. However, you're just a low-level immortal venerable that just stepped into the Tao. This immortal venerable doesn't put you in my eyes. Lady Frozen Dream sneered disdainfully. She activated her divine ability and fought with the immortal devil monster. 9 Nether Heaven Covering Hand. All of a sudden, the aura of the immortal and devil monster changed, turning into a monstrous devil chi. Even its face changed, turning into a terrifying and ferocious devil sovereign. The demon race's peak 9 Nether Heaven Covering Hand was used by the immortal demon monster with the cultivation of a demon sovereign. It displayed a heaven-shaking power and a black palm print that was thousands of feet wide, seemed to be able to blast a hole in the sky as it slammed down towards Fairy Frozen Dream. Demon race's divine ability. Fairy Frozen Dream was shocked. Only now did she raise her spirits and use her supreme divine ability to deal with the attacks of the immortal and demonic immortal monsters. However, in the next moment, the immortal fiend monster changed its aura and appearance again, turning into a peerless celestial venerable and unleashing immortal Tao divine skills. Then, he used the strange power of the fusion of immortal and devil to use the yin-yang immortal demon scissors, forcing Fairy Frozen Dream into a fluster. What kind of monster is this? Not only can it simultaneously grasp immortal and demonic supernatural abilities, but can even freely transform its body and true energy. The strength of this immortal and demonic monster surpassed Immortal Frost Dream's imagination. This side, Su Fong used the Thunder of Destiny and the profound Underworld Lightning Scroll to lock onto Fairy Frozen Dream. That's actually the profound Underworld Lightning Scroll. How can you have such an extraordinary Tao artifact? Moreover, you're only at the first Saint Immortal realm and can use this kind of quasi-divine artifact that surpasses King Grey Tao artifacts? Stop, quickly stop. As expected of an old monster that had lived for more than 10 million years, she recognized the illustrious, profound Underworld Lightning Scroll with a single glance. Moreover, Immortal Elder Frozen Dream felt a strong sense of danger. Once Su Fong released the power of his Tao item, even she, an immortal venerable, would be injured. Moreover, she wasn't an ordinary immortal venerable. Extraordinary. This cultivator that she had viewed as a weak chicken that she could casually kill was simply extraordinary. Fairy Frozen Dream looked at Su Fong with a solemn expression. Fairy Frozen Dream, my Tao companion doesn't need any immortal fate. Leave the square heaven great world. Otherwise, even if I'm injured, I won't let you take Xuanxin away. Su Fong stopped using the profound underworld lightning scroll. You dare to threaten this sovereign? Fairy Frozen Dream's eyes flashed with cold light as she said coldly. Su Fong sneered and mocked. You came to my door not only to take away my Tao companion, but also to kill me. Could it be that I have to respectfully hand over my Tao companion and then stretch out my neck for you to take my head? Don't think that just because you have an immortal or devil sovereign expert in the profound underworld lightning scroll, you have the qualifications to be arrogant in front of this sovereign. The strength and foundation of an immortal sovereign expert is far beyond your imagination. You have extraordinary abilities and Tao artifacts, but do you think this sovereign doesn't have them? Fairy Frozen Dream suddenly took out a Tao artifact. It was a 1-foot mirror that seemed to be forged from ice and had an ancient aura. Just by looking at it, one would feel as if one's origin spirit and physical body were instantly frozen. Moreover, a white xianguang was constantly flashing on the surface of the mirror, creating illusory and blurry scenes. Clearly, this mirror could not only release an incomparably powerful ice power, but also create illusions and confuse the origin spirit. What shocked Su Fong even more was that his great perfection realm power sensed that the mirror's aura was not a Tao artifact, but a divine aura. It was somewhat similar to the Origin Sacred Mirror, but compared to the Origin Sacred Mirror, one was in the sky while the other was on the ground. Divine artifact. This ice mirror is actually a divine artifact. Su Fongdao was startled, and a layer of cold sweat immediately seeped out from his back. At this time, Luo's disdainful voice sounded from the blood jade. It's just a very ordinary divine artifact. How can it be compared to your Origin Sacred Mirror? Su Fong replied with a bitter smile. It's just an ordinary divine artifact. Luo, how can a divine artifact appear in a great world? Tao artifacts that can only be found in a great world will appear in a small world. Even a peerless Tao artifact, like the immortal Jia Gate, can appear in a small world. What's so strange about a great world having a divine artifact that can only be found in a great world? That's true. Although this ice mirror divine artifact is just an ordinary divine artifact, with Frozen Dream's cultivation realm, she should be able to use 20 to 30% of its power. With your strength, it's still difficult to contend against her unless you take out the Origin Sacred Mirror and take her divine artifact. But if you do that, you'll just have to wait for this old monster to go all out against you. Su Fong's deep eyes revealed a ruthless gaze. If there was no other way, this was the only way. Brat, you're called Su Fong, right? To be able to force me to take out the heaven-sealing, profound ice mirror. Even the majority of immortal venerables can't do that. You should be proud of yourself. You're quite extraordinary. In any other immortal domain, you'd be a peerless genius. Therefore, I've decided to spare your life. You don't have to act like you're risking your life in front of me. Once I activate the heaven-sealing profound ice mirror, you and your subordinate won't have a chance to resist. However, I'll have to pay a certain price for doing so. However, I must take Fairy Xuanxin away. Don't try to challenge my patience. Otherwise, not only will I kill you, but the great world below you will also suffer calamity. Although I can't break through the world barrier in a short period of time, I can use the divine artifact power to create the Frost Dream Space. Everyone's primordial spirit and consciousness will be shackled in the dream world. Sooner or later, they'll die. Frozen Dream slowly said, her voice ice cold. You want to take Xuanxin away? What is your intention? How could Su Fong be scared by a few words? Frozen Dream said, I don't want to harm Xuanxin by taking her away. On the contrary, I'll give her great benefits. Not only do I value her Ice Phoenix true body, but I can also sense the aura of the profound Dragon Ice Heart mantra from her body. She should be cultivating the incomplete, profound Dragon Ice Heart mantra, and I just happen to have the complete divine level mantra in my hands. With my careful cultivation, she'll definitely be able to reach the immortal venerable realm in less than 100,000 years. Su Fong remained unmoved. He sneered. You have such good intentions? Don't you want to obtain some benefits from Xuanxin? Su Fong had seen the ruthless and merciless Yin Sanshin, Huang Lingyao, and the Tranquility Emperor. For strength and power, Yin Sanshin could kill his junior brother, Huang Lingyao could devour her own sister, and the Tranquility Emperor could even sell out the lives of countless people under his command. Although Frozen Dream was a supreme immortal venerable, her way of doing things was cold, overbearing, and somewhat eccentric. She wasn't much different from other cultivators. She came all the way to the immortal realm to accept Xuanxin as her disciple just to give Xuanxin great benefits for no reason. Regardless of what Frozen Dream said, Su Fong didn't believe that she would be so kind. How could she hand Xuanxin over to her so easily? I've already tolerated you time and time again. Do you really think I won't dare to be ruthless? Obviously, Su Fong had seen through her thoughts. Frozen Dream's expression suddenly became gloomy. She formed a seal with her hands to activate the ice mirror. Second primordial spirit. Prepare to attack with your primordial spirit. Buy me some time to activate the treasure mirror. Su Fong's eyes revealed a decisive and ruthless light. He had been forced into a desperate situation and had no choice but to fight with everything he had. I can rest assured, even if I can't crush her primordial spirit, it will be easy to buy me some time. Second primordial spirit coldly replied. The dragon bird flew up from Su Fong's shoulder and turned into a strange bird that was over 100 feet tall. It exuded an amazing divine might, but it clearly hadn't recovered yet. Its aura was far inferior to before. The atmosphere suddenly became tense. Suddenly, Fairy Xuanxin passed through the world barrier and appeared in the air. Please wait. Xuanxin is willing to take Senior Frozen Dream as her master. Fairy Xuanxin actually bowed towards Frozen Dream. Su Fong was startled and immediately shouted, Xuanxin, what stupid thing are you doing? Fairy Xuanxin replied with her primordial spirit, Su Fong, in this situation, we can only agree to Frozen Dream's request. Otherwise, not only you and I, but the entire square Heaven Great World will not be able to escape this calamity. Moreover, aren't I going to leave this immortal domain to gain experience and cultivate? If I become Frozen Dream's disciple, wouldn't it be the best of both worlds? Best of both worlds? I'm afraid this Frozen Dream has ulterior motives. You underestimate me too much. Do you think I, Fairy Xuanxin, am a fish to be slaughtered by others? Moreover, don't I still have you? Listening to Frozen Dream's tone, she won't do anything to me for at least 100,000 years. I believe that in 100,000 years, you will be able to grow to the point where you can contend with or even kill her. But, do you not have confidence in yourself? Law also said, Su Fong, we can only follow this method. Fighting to the death is definitely not a wise move. Moreover, the world is changing again. The great world is filled with danger. Xuanxin is going out to gain experience by herself, which is incomparably dangerous. To be able to become the disciple of an immortal venerable is indeed a good thing. It is not impossible to agree to her request. Su Fong let out a long breath, suppressing the humiliation and anger in his heart. Looking at Frozen Dream, Su Fong said, Frozen Dream, my Tao companion is your disciple. Within 50,000 years, I will definitely come and take her away. During this time, if you dare to do anything to her, even if you go to the end of the world, I, Su Fong, swear to kill you. Download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1430. Do you think you are qualified to challenge me in 50,000 years? Lady Frozen Dream cast a sidelong glance at Su Fong and sneered disdainfully. 50,000 years seemed to be a long time, but it was just a blink of an eye for world immortal realm cultivators. Not to mention Su Fong, who was in the same immortal realm. How much could he grow in 50,000 years? 2 Dao Saint Realm or 3 Dao Saint Realm? In Lady Frozen Dream's opinion, Su Fang's ability to break through to the 3 Dao Saint Immortal Realm was already heaven-defying. Wanting to reach the Immortal Venerate Realm in 50,000 years, and not just an ordinary Immortal Venerate at that, was no different from a fool's dream, a complete joke. Lady Frozen Dream, it's useless to say more. Xuanxin is your disciple. If you really treat her as your disciple or successor, I, Su Fang, will definitely pay you a visit to thank you. If you have other thoughts, I, Su Fang, always keep my words. I hope you remember my words. Su Fang said in a cold voice, I will wait for you to come. I'm afraid you won't even be able to find the door of my cultivation place. Lady Frozen Dream snorted. Senior doesn't need to worry about this. Su Fang said indifferently. Then he shouted towards the great world below. Black Hawk Demon Monarch, come. Whoosh! The black-robed Black Hawk Demon Monarch passed through the world barrier and arrived beside Su Fang in an instant. Black Hawk Demon Monarch, I order you to stay by the side of Mistress, protect her, and protect her. As long as you are loyal, I will not treat you unfairly. I can assure you that I will help you reach the peak of the Demon Monarch realm within 100,000 years. Su Fang said decisively, displaying the aura of an overlord of a great world. Black Hawk is willing to follow Mistress and protect Mistress with my life. Black Hawk Demon Monarch cupped his fists and responded. His deep eyes flickered with excitement. It was not easy for a big goblin to improve. For a peerless big goblin like Black Hawk Demon Monarch, it was almost impossible to reach the peak without several million years. Moreover, this was under the condition that he had a great opportunity. In order to pass the tribulation smoothly, the Black Hawk Demon Monarch was willing to take the risk to accept the Bloody Star killing mission of the Grand Star Hall, not to mention the opportunity to reach the peak of the Demon Monarch realm within 100,000 years. If someone else said this, the Black Hawk Demon Emperor would definitely think that this person was a madman. However, he had followed Su Fang for hundreds of years and witnessed Su Fang create all kinds of miracles that ordinary immortals couldn't do. Moreover, Su Fang had always kept her word. The Black Hawk Demon Emperor naturally believed her words without a doubt. Su Fang flipped his hand and took out a storage ring. He said with his Yuan spirit, there are 1,000,000 supreme-grade elixirs, 100,000 supreme-grade yin-yang immortal sky elixirs, and 10 divine essence elixirs in the storage ring. It's enough for you to cultivate for 50,000 years. Moreover, I've already given the Thunder Punishment Cauldron to Mistress. You don't have to worry about the tribulation with her by your side. The Black Hawk Demon Monarch was pleasantly surprised. Thank you, Master. Su Fang's face darkened, and he said coldly, I'll be blunt. If you can't protect your master loyally, don't blame me for being ruthless. Rest assured, Master, even if I have to risk my life, I won't let Mistress suffer the slightest injury. Under Su Fang's supreme divine might, the Black Hawk Demon Monarch felt his willpower almost collapse. His whole body trembled as he hurriedly made a promise to Su Fang. Looking at Xuanxin, Su Fang's expression softened. He opened his arms and embraced Xuanxin. Su Fang said slowly, I thought I could protect my family and friends after becoming an overlord. I didn't expect. I'm still so insignificant in front of an immortal venerable expert. However, I promise you that you will return to my side within 50,000 years. No one will be able to take you away from me. Even if immortal Mistress Frozen Dream wants to harm me, she should be fine within the next 100,000 years. With your clone by my side and the Black Hawk Demon Monarch, this peerless big goblin, protecting me, you don't have to worry about my safety. You don't have to blame yourself. I'm proud to have a man like you. Fairy Xuanxin said softly. Take care. Su Fang condensed thousands of words into these 2 words. He took a deep breath as if he wanted to imprint Fairy Xuanxin's aura in his heart forever. Fairy Xuanxin put the Black Hawk Demon Monarch into her Dao Treasure World and flew to immortal Mistress Frozen Dream's side. Before leaving, Fairy Xuanxin suddenly turned around and said loudly, Su Fang, I have no regrets in this life with you. Immortal Mistress Frozen Dream released a cold light that wrapped around the 2 of them. She then disappeared into the void, leaving behind Fairy Xuanxin's voice that still echoed in the air. After being silent for a long time equals and underscore R. Luo faintly said from the blood jade inside his body, "This might be an opportunity for Fairy Xuanxin. You don't have to worry about anything. Moreover, she's dual cultivating with you and also obtained your supreme fate. You don't have to worry about her." Luo, I just feel that I'm still too insignificant. I can't even withstand a single blow from a true peak expert. Su Fang, you were able to grow to the point where you can contend against immortal sovereigns in such a short period of time. What kind of heaven-defying achievement is this? How can you be discouraged because of small setback? As expected of Luo, he was afraid that Su Fang's confidence would be affected because of Fairy Xuanxin's matter. So he specially enlightened Su Fang. Luo, I only feel the gap between me and the peak experts of the great world. I don't feel discouraged, nor will I be discouraged. I have supreme fate, all kinds of heaven-defying abilities, peerless cultivation methods, and divine artifacts. This means that I have limitless potential. In the future, I will surpass immortal sovereigns. Immortal Mistress Frozen Dream will be trampled under my feet sooner or later. From a small world to the great world. And now, haven't I been constantly looking at mountains that I can't cross? Just take Immortal Mistress Frozen Dream as the next mountain that I have to cross. Su Fang's tone was firm, and his eyes flashed with a hearty light. A lofty and domineering aura that looked down upon the heavens spontaneously arose. I'm very pleased that you can think this way. The fourth evil sun has risen, and the catastrophe will become more and more intense. The square heaven great world will bear the test of destruction, so we must prepare with all our strength. When the situation stabilizes, we'll go to the boundless secular palace, then leave this immortal domain and go to the destiny bright heavenly sect to get the other blood jade. Putting aside the matter of Fairy Xuanxin for the time being, Su Fang began to think about the future. Just as Su Fang had expected, the calamity brought about by the fourth upheaval of the heavens, and the earth swiftly swept through the immortal domain like a flood, causing the cultivators, commoners, and even countless living beings in the large worlds to fall into a calamity of annihilation. First, it was affected by the upheaval of heaven and earth. The big goblin's consciousness was controlled by an evil force, and it madly attacked the cities where humans lived. Some of the Realm Lord's forces were also affected and suffered heavy casualties, not to mention other cultivators and civilians. This continued for more than 10 years before the big goblins' tide-like attacks gradually calmed down. Then came the resurrected powerhouses, as well as the peerless demons and big goblin that broke through the seal, bringing another huge disaster to the immortal Tao. In the square heaven great world, because of the auspicious aura of the dragon and phoenix, it was not greatly affected by the upheaval of heaven and earth. However, there were still many resurrected powerhouses, demons, and big goblin that appeared to bring disaster to the great world. Although the cultivators under Su Fang's organization were able to extinguish them in time, the square heaven great world still suffered heavy losses. At least 1/10 of the immortal cities, sects, and clans were destroyed, and the casualties were in the hundreds of millions. The situation in the other great worlds was 100 times worse than the square heaven great world. Empires were devoured by the resurrected powerhouses, and then the immortal realms were completely destroyed. Apart from a few powerful forces with immortal emperors, the other forces were completely destroyed. Countless sects and clans with legacies of millions of years disappeared in the upheaval of heaven and earth. As for ordinary cultivators and civilians, the casualties were incalculable. While everyone in the immortal domain was in danger, one immortal realm faction took advantage of the upheaval of heaven and earth to rise. In less than 100 years, it took over 3 great worlds and became the overlord of the immortal domain. The Great Qin Celestial World equals N_R. The Great Qin Celestial World was located at the edge of the immortal domain, right next to the illuminating sky lightning realm. The Qin family that controlled the Great Qin Celestial World was famous for their lightning techniques, and their overall strength was definitely a first-rate faction in the immortal domain. However, the great Qin celestial world was still far from being an overlord. Who would have thought that when the upheaval of heaven and earth swept through the upheaval of heaven, not only did the great Qin celestial world not fall, but its strength also increased greatly. It took over 3 great worlds in one go and became an overlord. Sky-bearing great world. An army of 5 million cultivators rose into the sky from the royal city of a celestial world. The leader was an old man wearing a Taoist robe with lightning patterns. He was the immortal emperor expert of the Great Qin celestial world other than the Great Qin celestial emperor. Beside the old man were a dozen or so experts, all of whom were Saint Immortal Realm immortal emperors. The cultivation of the cultivators in the army was also not bad. They were all in the heavenly immortal realm. Such a force could definitely sweep through the immortal domain. My lord, the Great Qin celestial world just took over a celestial world. Why did they seal the royal city and then retreat? An immortal emperor expert beside him asked in confusion. The old man in the lightning robe said in a deep voice, "The patriarch has his own plans. Why are you asking so much? Let's go and retreat from this celestial world." Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The dozen or so immortal emperors led the army of millions and left the royal city. 3 days after the army retreated, a thick aura of death rose from the sealed land of the world of immortals. It swept out in all directions with the power of the world of immortals, covering the entire royal city in the blink of an eye and extending to the entire world of immortals. The plants in the celestial world withered rapidly and lost their vitality. The rivers dried up. The birds and beasts didn't even have time to cry out before they died and turned into white bones. In the royal city, in the many celestial cities, the life of the cultivators and commoners were quickly draining away. They became extremely weak, and the speed of their aging accelerated countless times. Some of the stronger celestials felt that something was wrong and flew into the sky. However, the heaven and earth's spiritual qi had almost dried up. It was filled with death qi and evil qi. They couldn't stay in the sky for long. Moreover, the world origin force was constantly devouring their life force. Screams filled with despair rang out in the celestial world. The entire celestial world turned into a living hell. This situation lasted for 3 months. All the cultivators, commoners, birds, beasts, plants, and trees all died. This celestial world became a graveyard without a trace of vitality. I have finally become a supreme celestial. Ha ha! A maniacal laugh rang out from the royal city of the celestial world. An evil aura shot into the sky. Then, a figure flew out from the depths of the royal city and came to the top of the royal city. Su Fong, I will devour your physical body and torture your primordial spirit forever. I will turn your square, heaven-great world into a wasteland. Following the maniacal laughter of this person, a violent and evil aura rolled out in all directions. This figure was like an evil death god that ruled over death. This person was the resurrected sky, slaughter, lightning emperor. =_ download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1431. Demon Dawn Frontier B. In outer space, atop a massive ruin, there were camps that had been created with a transcendent supernatural power. These camps were densely packed together, like a beehive. Squads of demon soldiers entered and exited these camps, no less than 10 million in number. The channel that led directly from the demon world to the immortal domain had been completely opened. Elite demon armies continuously poured into Demon Dawn Frontier, no less than 10 million in number. In the central region of Demon Dawn Frontier, within a dark and magnificent palace, over 50 demon race powerhouses were gathered. With Demon Sovereign Manishi as the leader, the other demon powerhouses were all demon emperor powerhouses with strength equal to Saint Immortal Realm cultivators. Lord Demon Sovereign, at this time, the channel has been opened and the demon army has already arrived at the immortal domain. Sweeping through this immortal domain will be easy. At this time, The Sky Slaughter Thunder Emperor has already gathered an army of cultivators to attack the Square Heaven Great World. Why hasn't the demon race killed their way out of Demon Dawn Frontier and absorbed this immortal domain into the territory of the demon world? A demon powerhouse with the appearance of a human youth said. This was Demon Emperor Crimson Nightmare, who had escaped from Thunderfall Abyss with Demon Sovereign Manishi. Demon Venerable Monsi, who was seated high above, slowly spoke in a majestic voice. Crimson Nightmare, I know that just as your son was born, he was killed by that human Su Fong. Then, he was schemed against by that human and was trapped in Thunderfall Abyss for many years. His heart is filled with hatred and anger, but you must not let your anger overwhelm your reason. If the demon race wishes to conquer the immortal Tao, not only will they need formidable strength, but what is even more important is wisdom. Although this immortal domain is located at the edge of the immortal Tao world, it is also the battlefield where the demon race has fully entered the immortal Tao world. That human Su Fong has already grown into an overlord in these past years. His strength is incomparably formidable, and he also possesses a powerful Tao artifact that is specially designed to restrain the demon race. According to the spies in Square Heaven Great World, even immortal Venerable Frostereem was unable to obtain any benefits in Square Heaven Great World. Without knowing the true strength of Square Heaven Great World, how could the demon army be easily dispatched? In the name of the Great Qin Immortal Realm, the Tian Sha Thunder Emperor has recruited countless human cultivators over the years. At the same time, he has also secretly controlled millions of powerful resurrected experts. Let him and Su Fong fight to the death. What the devil race needs to do now is to wait and see, and then reap the benefits. Seeing how much importance Demon Sovereign Monsi placed on Su Fong, Demon Emperor Crimson Nightmare could only suppress the anger in his heart. However, his heart was still unconvinced. The demon race had always been decisive and used slaughter to conquer everything. When did they become like the immortal Tao cultivators and use crafty schemes? Just like Scarlet Nightmare Devil Emperor, the other Devil Emperors didn't agree with Devil Sovereign Mansher's caution. However, the Devil race had always been strict. Who would dare to go against Devil Sovereign Mansher's will? After annexing 3 great worlds, the Great Qin Immortal Realm's overall strength skyrocketed again. However, it no longer continued to expand into the surrounding great worlds. Instead, it passed through the layers of great worlds and headed straight for Square Heaven Great World. Could it be that the Great Qin Immortal Realm is going to war with Square Heaven Great World for the position of Overlord? With the eruption of the catastrophe, the 2 overlords of this immortal realm will clash. The immortal Tao forces will definitely suffer heavy losses. If the devil race invades again, what should we do? The various forces were deeply worried and sent experts to Square Heaven Great World to pay close attention to this earth-shaking battle that would decide the fate of this immortal realm. Square Heaven Great World. Whoosh! Su Fong flew out of the True Dragon Realm. As soon as she appeared in the palace, her body immediately emitted an astonishing tribulation chi. It turned out that ever since Fairy Xuanxin was taken away by immortal Venerable Frostereem, Su Fong had been cultivating in seclusion. Her true body and all her clones cultivated together, mainly the 9 Suns' 9 transformations, the life-shrinking art, the ethereal truth, and the Yellow Springs Blood Sea. In particular, she tried to fuse the power of the complete Purple Cloud Lost Spirit with other divine abilities. Ever since she fused with the profound power of the Heavenly Spirit Root, Su Fong's understanding of the Heavenly Tao and nature had reached a whole new level. Her cultivation speed of various divine grade cultivation methods had also increased by a lot. In addition to her extraordinary abilities, Divine Essence Pills and King Grade Pills, as well as various abundant cultivation resources, Su Fong's cultivation speed was very fast. Not only was another young Meridian about to be born, but she was also about to break through the peak of the first Tao Saint Immortal Realm and advance to the second Tao Saint Immortal Realm. The tribulation chi quickly turned into tribulation fire and burned wildly. Layers of impurities seeped out of her body. The power of advancement swept through her body in an instant. Su Fong wore a faint smile amidst the immense pain of the tribulation fire. After more than a month, the tribulation chi finally dissipated. The tribulation fire on her body gradually extinguished, leaving behind an aura that was even more powerful and vast than before. The second Tao, Saint Immortal Realm. Su Fong's cultivation base increased once again, causing his strength to rise to another level. However, he wasn't very happy. The calamity brought about by the upheaval and the matter of Fairy Xuanqin made him deeply understand the gap between his strength and a peerless expert like Immortal Venerable Frost Dream. He felt a sense of urgency, as if time waited for no one. Next was to absorb the natural spiritual energy of heaven and earth to stabilize the state of the second Tao, Saint Immortal Realm. Su Fong. At this moment, Su Fong was the absolute ruler of the Square Heaven Great World. Everyone in the Great World respected her. In the Square Heaven Great World, there are only a handful of people who could call Su Fong by his name. The Green Feather Emperor, the Lord of Five Poisons, and naturally, Xian Tian. Xian Tian brought a shocking news. The Great Qin Immortal Realm's army has already entered the Yuan Great World. In less than 10 years, they will arrive at the Square Heaven Great World. You need to make a decision as soon as possible on how to deal with them. The Great Qin Immortal Realm? It should be the resurrected Heavenly Slaughter Thunder Emperor. Su Fong raised her eyebrows and revealed a mocking look in her eyes. The Great Qin Immortal Realm's Immortal Emperor Old Man's consciousness had long been controlled by the second primordial spirit. She left him as a spy in the Great Qin Immortal Realm. She didn't expect him to play such an important role now. Su Fong knew everything that had happened in the past few years, including the Heavenly Slaughter Thunder Emperor's every move. Su Fong sneered disdainfully. Heavenly Slaughter Thunder Emperor, you used the upheaval of heaven and earth to luckily escape from the Thunder Waterfall Abyss. Yet, you used the name of the Great Qin Immortal Realm to stir up trouble in this immortal domain. This time, you even recklessly tried to attack the Square Heaven Great World. Since you took the initiative to come to me, I'll just eliminate you. This immortal domain will also be much quieter. In the Thunder Waterfall Abyss, Su Fong was very afraid of the resurrected Heavenly Slaughter Thunder Emperor. As for now, although the Heavenly Slaughter Thunder Emperor devoured the life energy of an immortal realm and broke through to the Immortal Venerable Realm, he was still too far away from Immortal Venerable Frost Dream's level. In front of Su Fong, he was simply not enough. Don't worry too much about the Great Qin Immortal Realm. I have a plan to deal with it. Pass down my order. Pay attention to the movements of the devil race at all times, especially the exit of the Demon Dawn Fortress near the Clear Skies Myriad Scroll Door. Send more people to guard it and prevent the devil race from entering this immortal domain at any time. Compared to the Heavenly Slaughter Thunder Emperor, Su Fong was more concerned about the devil race, especially the devil venerable expert who crossed over from the devil world. This was a big problem. After making the arrangements, Su Fong separated a young immortal and entered the void dust cauldron. Dead King. It turned out that the war was imminent. Su Fong wanted to give the Dead King another warning so that he wouldn't have any disloyalty and take the opportunity to stir up trouble. What's the matter? The Dead King in the cauldron transformation array gloomily said. He was both resentful and fearful of Su Fong. Last time, the Dead King was injured by the Dragon Bird's Sun God Arrow. The Dragon Bird's Sun God Arrow was too harmful to evil creatures. Over the years, the Dead King had finally recovered with the help of Xie Yang's evil power and the pills provided by Su Fong. However, there was still a lingering fear in his heart. Su Fong said in a majestic voice, "Dead King, we're about to fight a resurrected immortal venerable level powerhouse and an army of resurrected powerhouses. It's time for you to serve. A resurrected immortal venerable level powerhouse. What do you want me to do?" The Dead King raised his eyebrows, but he didn't show much fear. "You don't have to worry about the resurrected immortal venerable level powerhouse. I need you to suppress the army of resurrected cultivators for me. It's best if you can control them and use them for me. I cultivate the Tao of death. It's not difficult for me to suppress an army of resurrected cultivators. If you return the sky-shrouding nether coffin to me, it'll be even easier. Su Fong flipped his hand and took out a black coffin. He threw it to the dead king and said, "You can have the sky-shrouding nether coffin. Aren't you afraid that I'll harm you after I regain the sky-shrouding nether coffin?" The dead king's gray eyes showed surprise. When I was still in the realm of mortal realm, I could already suppress you. Now that I'm in the sane immortal realm, why would I be afraid of you betraying me? You can give it a try. Su Fong smiled domineeringly and withdrew from the cauldron transformation array. This person has heaven-defying divine ability and Tao artifact. He's also so bold and ambitious. I can't escape from him. What should I do? The dead king frowned and muttered to himself. 10 years passed in the blink of an eye. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. An army of cultivators appeared in the sky above the square, heaven great world. There were more than 5 million of them. They were like dark clouds and almost covered the light released by the 5 divine suns in the sky. The army of the Great Qin Immortal Realm has arrived. Almost 20 Immortal Emperor experts. The Great Qin Immortal Realm has gathered almost half of the Immortal Emperor experts in this immortal domain. The Great Qin Immortal Realm has such terrifying strength. The square Heaven Great World is going to suffer this time. In the void outside the square Heaven Great World, the experts from the 8 forces who were gathering information were all trembling when they saw the terrifying overall strength of the Great Qin Immortal Realm. They all thought that the square Heaven Great World would not be able to escape this time. However, the square Heaven Great World was silent. Why? There were countless experts and Big Goblin in the square Heaven Great World. Just the number of Origin Realm cultivators alone reached 10 million. Moreover, the square Heaven Great World had an absolute ruler who had created countless miracles. Emperor Su, the army of cultivators from the Great Qin Immortal Realm, opened up a path. An old man in a thunderous robe stepped forward. Lightning surged in his eyes, and he shouted coldly, "Su Fong, get out here!" His shout was like a sudden clap of thunder that shook the sky. What was more terrifying was that the thunder contained a powerful and strange power of thunder, causing the experts who were watching from afar to feel that their genuine qi was suppressed, making it difficult for them to circulate. Even the magic treasures on their bodies were difficult to activate. Tiansha Thunder Emperor, long time no see. A domineering laugh rang out from the square Heaven Great World. Su Fong flew up into the sky and came to the front of the army of the Great Qin Immortal Realm alone. Fainting, I set the timer wrong. I made a low-level mistake. Thank you for the reminder. Apologies. =_ download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1432. Su Fong arrived in front of the Great Qin Celestial World's army of millions. He stood 10 miles away from the Heavenly Slaughter Thunder Emperor and looked at him from afar. Compared to the Great Qin Celestial World's army of cultivators, Su Fong seemed so weak and insignificant, like an ant. However, he had an unparalleled, domineering aura about him. His aura alone was enough to suppress the army of millions. He was like a mighty god of war. Looking at the Heavenly Slaughter Thunder Emperor, Su Fong said in a majestic voice, "Heavenly Slaughter Thunder Emperor, we meet again." The Heavenly Slaughter Thunder Emperor said gloomily, "It's because of you that I missed a good opportunity and was almost trapped in the extreme Lodestone. Fortunately, there was a change in heaven and earth. With the help of the evil god's power, I finally escaped from the Thunderfall Abyss and came to settle old scores with you." His hale and hearty gaze swept across the Great Qin Celestial World's army. Su Fong smiled faintly. "I, Su Fong, am no longer the insignificant cultivator who had to run for his life in the past. This motley crew is far from enough to kill me." "Can't kill you?" The Heavenly Slaughter Thunder Emperor smiled eerily. Then he issued a murderous order to the Great Qin Celestial World's army. "Kill him and conquer the Heaven Great World. All the treasures and resources inside will belong to you. Kill." The 5 million cultivators of the great Qin celestial world roared in unison. A strong, murderous aura soared into the sky, causing the sky to change color. Su Fang, I'm here to kill you. The great Qin celestial emperor's lightning-robed old man took the lead. He led more than 1 million cultivators of the great Qin celestial world and surged towards Su Fang like a tidal wave. Su Fang stood with his hands behind his back. He didn't move an inch. The corners of his mouth were curled upward, and there was even a disdainful sneer. The tide of the army was about to drown Su Fang. Su Fang did not use any divine ability, nor did he activate any Tao artifact. He still stood there casually. Whoosh! Su Fang was like a pillar in the torrent, and the army was like a flood, suddenly splitting in the middle, flowing past Su Fang, and then gathering behind Su Fang. With a lightning-robed old man as the leader, over 1 million cultivators cupped their fists and shouted in unison, "Greetings, Emperor Su!" The heavenly slaughter, lightning emperor, and the remaining millions of cultivators in the army were dumbfounded. The experts of the 8 forces who were watching the battle from afar, as well as the countless practitioners in the square heaven world who were sweating for Su Fang, all had similar expressions, turning into pieces of wood equals and _1. Cloud with a flip of his hand, rain with a wave of the hand. This was the impression that Su Fang had in everyone's mind. The heavenly slaughter lightning emperor roared angrily at the lightning-robed old man from the great Qin immortal world. You dare to betray me? I am your ancestor. You traitor, I will crush your bones and scatter your ashes. The lightning-robed old man sneered. The heavenly slaughter lightning emperor is indeed the ancestor of the great Qin immortal world. However, you are not the heavenly slaughter lightning emperor. You are an evil resurrected cultivator. As an immortal Tao cultivator, how can I treat a resurrected corpse as my ancestor and follow you to destroy the immortal Tao? The lightning-robed old man's words caused a huge uproar. The heavenly slaughter immortal emperor was extremely powerful. Moreover, after fusing with the extreme magnetite, the magnetite essence Qi in his body concealed the death Qi and evil Qi on his body. No one could see through his background. After leaving the Thunder Waterfall Abyss, the heavenly slaughter lightning emperor had always been hiding behind the scenes, only making a move at the critical moment. Everyone thought that he was a hidden, peerless expert of the great Qin immortal world. Who would have thought that he was an evil, resurrected expert? Everywhere in the 8 great worlds was affected by the resurrected cultivators, and the number of casualties was innumerable. Now that the lightning-robed old man had exposed the heavenly slaughter lightning emperor's identity, how could everyone not be shocked? Good, Su Fang. You are indeed powerful. You can even control my descendant. That's good. Ever since I left the Thunder Waterfall Abyss, I have been hiding for so many years, and I have been getting impatient. Finally, I can show my true face to everyone. Boom! A gust of death Qi exploded from the heavenly slaughter lightning emperor's body and instantly enveloped the surroundings. The surrounding void immediately turned into a graveyard filled with death Qi. All of you, sacrifice your life Qi to me. The heavenly slaughter lightning emperor let out a sinister laugh that was filled with evil. The immortal emperors and the army of more than 3 million cultivators who stayed by his side felt their life Qi being forcefully extracted from their bodies. They were all scared out of their wits and desperately struggled to break free. However, the power of nature in this place was enveloped by the heavenly slaughter lightning emperor's evil energy. It was as if he was the embodiment of the heavenly Tao. Moreover, the heavenly slaughter lightning emperor's divine might contain the great origin magnetism energy. It had the ability to restrain the 5 elemental energy. The difference in cultivation between these cultivators and the heavenly slaughter lightning emperor was too great. How could they possibly escape in such a short time? This was how terrifying a resurrected, immortal, venerable strength was. Dragon Bird, go! Su Fang shouted coldly. Whoosh, the dragon bird was released by Su Fang, and a sun god's arrow shot out from its eyes. The sun god's arrow that was formed by golden rays of light immediately tore through the gloomy death chi that enveloped the heavens and the earth. Wherever it went, the heavenly slaughter lightning emperor's divine might would instantly shatter. What a domineering and powerful divine ability. What kind of monster is this? How can it unleash such a terrifying divine ability? It can even threaten my life. The heavenly slaughter lightning emperor immediately sensed a fatal threat. Shock and fear could be seen in his eyes. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. As expected of a celestial venerable, the heavenly slaughter lightning emperor's reaction was extremely fast. He released many resurrected cultivators from his body. Moreover, their strength was comparable to Saint Celestial's. Swoosh, swoosh. The sun god's arrow pierced through the bodies of more than 10 resurrected cultivators, and its light dimmed. In the end, the heavenly slaughter lightning emperor once again gathered the evil energy between heaven and earth. At the same time, he also activated the great origin magnetism energy to form a huge stone that was more than 30 meters tall. It completely dissolved the sun god's arrow. After all, the dragon bird had just been born not long ago. After releasing the sun god's arrow, its aura instantly weakened. Seeing this, the heavenly slaughter lightning emperor heaved a long sigh of relief. This monster was simply too terrifying. Taking advantage of this moment, the army of millions of cultivators by the heavenly slaughter lightning emperor's side scattered and fled far away. Some of the smarter cultivators went straight to Sufang and joined the Great Qin Immortal World's army. At this moment, the entire immortal realm was filled with resurrected cultivators. Only the square heaven great world was the safest place. If it did not go to Sufang, where else could they go? When the others saw this, they all followed suit and rushed over like a swarm of bees. In less than 10 breaths' time, there was a black mass standing behind Sufang. The army of cultivators under the heavenly slaughter lightning emperor, including those immortal emperors, had all become Sufang's subordinates, except for those who had been devoured by the heavenly slaughter lightning emperor just now. This is infuriating. The heavenly slaughter lightning emperor was fuming with anger. He had originally planned to use this army of cultivators to conquer this immortal realm. After becoming the supreme overlord of this immortal realm, he would slowly find a way to devour them and turn them into nutrients for his own improvement. After that, he would devour the countless living beings in the immortal realm. Now, all of his plans were ruined. Even without you cultivators, I can still devour the square heaven great world and become the supreme overlord of this immortal realm. The heavenly slaughter lightning emperor roared as a grayish death chi shot out from his right palm. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Countless resurrected cultivators appeared beside the heavenly slaughter lightning emperor and gathered like a vast ocean. There were actually more than 30 million resurrected cultivators. Each of them emitted a strong, evil aura and the stench of rotting corpses. It was extremely terrifying and strange. Everyone's expression changed drastically. Their scalps went numb, and cold sweat seeped out of their backs. It was as if doomsday had arrived. With such a large army of resurrected cultivators and a peerless resurrected expert at the level of an immortal venerable, it would be easy for them to conquer this immortal realm. The cultivators in the square heaven great world trembled when they saw this scene. If the resurrected cultivators broke through the world barrier, everyone in the square heaven great world would not be able to escape death. Catastrophe. This was the catastrophe that would destroy the square heaven great world. Lord Emperor Su, the Great Qin Immortal World, and other experts who had just joined the square heaven great world were all pale with fright. They were afraid that Su Fang would use them as cannon fodder. It was no wonder that they would have such thoughts. Any overlord expert would not allow their subordinates to fight against so many resurrected cultivators. There were simply too many of them, and it was impossible to kill them all. And these cultivators who had just joined the square heaven great world were the best candidates to be cannon fodder. Everyone, retreat to the square heaven great world. Su Fang waved his hand, and the world barrier below immediately opened up a passage. "Thank you, Lord Emperor Su." Everyone was overjoyed and flew towards the square heaven great world like a swarm of bees. In the blink of an eye, only Su Fong was left alone. "Su Fong, are you planning to fight against me and the army of tens of millions by yourself? You are really arrogant and don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. After killing you, I will be the supreme ruler of this immortal realm. Countless cultivators and living beings will be at my mercy. When I devour this immortal realm completely, I might be able to step onto the supreme peak and go to the end of the world." "Ha ha!" The sky's slaughter, lightning emperor laughed sinisterly and arrogantly. The next moment, the sky's slaughter, lightning emperor waved his arm and said, "Kill this person and charge into the square heaven great world." Ha! The tens of millions of resurrected cultivators let out a strange and eerie roar in unison. Their voices set off a wave of air that swept out and shook the entire area. Waves of evil thoughts exploded from the resurrected cultivators and gathered together to form a huge human-shaped shadow that was thousands of feet tall. The shadow was like a terrifying death god that had descended upon the square heaven great world, causing the sky to be covered with a layer of shadow of death. Then, it carried an evil and vast aura that could cause all things in the world to wither and die as it charged towards Su Fong. "You want to suppress me, Su Fong, with just your evil thoughts." Su Fong sneered disdainfully. Su Fong cultivated the 9 yang, 9 changes, and had the power of yang. He could suppress and refine all evil forces. Moreover, Su Fong's purple chi dharma spirit was now complete and had supreme providence. In these years, he had traveled all over the treasure refining palace in the square heaven great world and absorbed a huge amount of primordial purple chi, causing his purple chi dharma spirit to take a big step towards perfection. Although he had not reached the stage where he could not be punished by the heavens like Luo had said, how could these evil thoughts suppress him? Moreover, Su Fong's way of the emperor had been cultivated to the extreme, and he also had the supreme heavenly secret life shrinking technique. What faith or willpower could threaten him? Boom! Su Fong activated his purple chi dharma spirit and combined it with the chi of the emperor, a supreme domineering aura that even the heavenly Tao could not suppress soared into the sky. Su Fong's body was surrounded by mysterious purple chi, and his body exuded a supreme ruler's aura. His body was not very tall or strong, but at this moment he was like a supreme ruler that no willpower could suppress. All things in the world had to submit to him. Su Fong's supreme ruler's aura collided with the shadow formed by the tens of millions of resurrected cultivators' evil thoughts, causing a burst of void gang chi. =our download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1433. Su Fong's emperor's godly aura clashed with the evil intent of millions of resurrected cultivators. The stalemate lasted for an instant. Puff, 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 puff. The evil intent collapsed like the arrival of the death god. It shattered layer by layer and finally dissipated into nothingness. Since the evil intent of the millions of resurrected cultivators was destroyed, the remnant souls and consciousnesses left in the sea of divine apertures were also severely injured. They instantly let out painful howls. Everyone was shocked by this scene. One person's strength crushed the intent of millions of resurrected cultivators. How shocking was this scene? Fear appeared in the eyes of the millions of resurrected cultivators. Most of these resurrected cultivators did not have self-awareness. They only had the instinct to devour all life, energy, and the evil intent to recover by devouring living creatures. Under Su Fong's purple aura spirit and Emperor's godly aura, the evil intent of these resurrected cultivators could not help but feel instinctive fear. The experts of 8 forces were all subdued by Su Fong's aura. Emperor Su is mighty. Cheers erupted in the square heaven great world like a tsunami. This person has supreme luck. If we don't get rid of him as soon as possible, even I will die in his hands. The heavenly slaughter lightning emperor's heart was also palpitating. He immediately issued an order to the army of resurrected cultivators. Millions of people swept towards Su Fong like raging waves that stretched for hundreds of miles. Undead King, I'll leave it to you. Su Fong took out a dark coffin. It was the sky-shrouding underworld coffin. The aura of death, I like it the most. Kiki, the immortal patterns on the coffin lid flickered. The undead king appeared from the sky-shrouding underworld coffin. His eyes shot out gray divine light. He glanced at the army of resurrected cultivators surging toward him like a tide and laughed hideously. I'm here. Why don't you submit? Death law descend. Boom! After the undead king formed a seal, a godly aura filled with death energy burst out and shrouded the surroundings. Death law descended on the millions of resurrected cultivators. The undead lord cultivated the Tao of death. In front of these resurrected cultivators, he was the absolute ruler. He was like an emperor descending upon a group of commoners. Wherever the law of death covered, the resurrected cultivators' movements became sluggish. They raised their heads and looked at the undead king. Confusion appeared in their eyes, followed by submission and even fanaticism. You are. I seem to have some impression of you in my memory. I remember now. You're the Death Monarch. You're the #1 cultivator of the corrupt Tao back then, the Death Monarch. The Heavenly Slaughter Lightning Emperor was actually a clone of the master of the Thunderous Night Island in the 10,000 Waves Immortal Sea. After falling in the Thunder Waterfall Abyss, the Heavenly Slaughter Thunder Emperor borrowed the power of heaven and earth to revive. His consciousness was incomplete, but he still vaguely had some memories of the undead ruler. The Heavenly Slaughter Lightning Emperor exclaimed when he recalled the undead king's identity. The undead king was a famous celestial venerable who stood at the peak of the great world. How terrifying was his strength! The Heavenly Slaughter Thunder Emperor had devoured countless living beings, and his consciousness had become evil and ruthless. Whenever he thought of the name of the undead king, he would tremble. That's not right. You're also a resurrected expert, but your strength is only at the 9th Tao, sane immortal stage. I'm a celestial venerable expert. So what if you're the undead king? After devouring you, I can also cultivate the Tao of death. I won't have to rely on the power of the evil sons to execute my skills. The Heavenly Slaughter Lightning Emperor became excited when he saw the undead king's cultivation level. He gathered the evil power of the 4 evil sons and scattered it between heaven and earth. He started to fight against the undead king's law of death, fighting for control of the thousands of resurrected cultivators. After a series of collisions and shattering, those resurrected cultivators were unlucky. They fell from the sky in batches and their bodies were shattered. The undead king's cultivation level was slightly lower than the Heavenly Slaughter Lightning Emperor's. However, the difference between a sane immortal and a celestial venerable expert was like heaven and earth. After holding on for a while, the undead king's death space was continuously invaded and occupied by the Heavenly Slaughter Lightning Emperor. In the end, it completely collapsed. The undead king is also a defeated opponent of mine. Ha ha! The Heavenly Slaughter Lightning Emperor laughed loudly. He was very proud. If it wasn't for the fact that I haven't recovered, do you think a celestial venerable like you who just entered the Tao by devouring life energy is qualified to fight with me? It's too early for you to be proud. Sky-shrouding nether coffin. The undead king struck out a hand seal. It turned into a Xian Guang and landed on the sky-shrouding nether coffin. Whoosh, the sky-shrouding nether coffin flew up and floated in the air. Then it flipped over and the coffin lid slid open. The dark interior of the coffin was like the mouth of a monster. It was bottomless. In the next moment, a gray Xian Guang swept out from the sky-shrouding nether coffin and enveloped the tens of millions of resurrected cultivators below, including the Heavenly Slaughter Lightning Emperor. Then, the gray Xian Guang immediately condensed into a death kingdom with mountains, rivers, trees, and cities. The resurrected cultivators were affected by the sky-shrouding nether coffin. They quickly merged into the death world and became a part of it. Even the Heavenly Slaughter Lightning Emperor was affected. Put it away from me. After the undead king formed a hand seal, the sky-shrouding nether coffin revealed its mouth and suddenly released a huge suction force. The death world below, along with all the resurrected cultivators, twisted into a picture scroll and flew towards the sky-shrouding nether coffin. What a terrifying Tao artifact! The undead king's sky-shrouding nether coffin is indeed worthy of its reputation. The heavenly slaughter lightning emperor was shocked and threw out a 500 tall rock. This rock was dark and gloomy like a small mountain. A wave of lunar magnetism power burst out from the rock and shattered the shackles of death surrounding it. Even the power of the sky-shrouding nether coffin could not suppress it. Lunar magnetism stone. The undead king actually merged with the lunar magnetism stone and brought it out of the thunder waterfall abyss. Su Fong raised his eyebrows. This was going to be troublesome. The lunar magnetism stone was not a peerless Tao artifact. Instead, it was a kind of thunder origin stone. It had the ability to restrain the power of the 5 elements of heaven and earth. It also had the ability to refine Dharma treasures with metals. The heavenly slaughter lightning emperor entered the lunar magnetism stone to cultivate. In the end, his physical body merged with the lunar magnetism stone, and he was trapped in the thunder waterfall abyss. Unexpectedly, the undead king actually merged with the lunar magnetism stone after another metamorphosis of heaven and earth. He even brought it out of the thunder waterfall abyss. Su Fong thought that the undead king had only broken free from the control of the lunar magnetism stone. With the lunar magnetism stone, all the power of the 5 elements, Dharma treasures, and Tao artifacts were unable to deal with the heavenly slaughter lightning emperor. Even the Xinming Thunder Archive was unable to pose much of a threat to him. The undead king activated the sky-shrouding nether coffin and sucked the tens of millions of resurrected cultivators into the coffin. The lid of the coffin closed, and it flew down to the undead king. This time, the tens of millions of cultivators under the control of the heavenly slaughter lightning emperor were also taken away by Su Fong. The heavenly slaughter lightning emperor, who had just waved his arm and had tens of millions of people responding to him, was now all alone. This scene was so inconceivable. I don't even need to use a single soldier. I can still devour you and destroy the square, heaven-great world. The heavenly slaughter lightning emperor let out a gloomy thunder roar. Lightning flashed in his eyes. He stretched out his right palm and slapped the lunar magnetism stone forcefully. A dazzling light burst out and swept in all directions. The lunar magnetism stone's power to restrain the power of the 5 elements shrouded heaven and earth. All the power and Dharma treasures related to the 5 elements were unable to operate. The power of Dharma treasures and Tao artifacts was also suppressed to the limit. However, the undead king's Tao of death was not suppressed. He immediately used his death Dharma treasures and attacked the heavenly slaughter lightning emperor fiercely. However, the heavenly slaughter lightning emperor's cultivation level was much higher than the undead king's. No matter how powerful his Dharma treasures were, they could not threaten the heavenly slaughter lightning emperor. Su Fong, become this sovereign's nutrients. The heavenly slaughter lightning emperor stepped out and shattered the undead king's attack. He stirred up the evil power between heaven and earth and rushed towards Su Fong. Second primordial spirit equals N_R exclamation point. Su Fong activated the power of the yin-yang world and broke free from the shackles of the lunar magnetism stone. As he retreated rapidly, he released the demonic immortal monster. A black-clothed man appeared in front of Su Fong and faced the heavenly slaughter lightning emperor with a punch. The demonic immortal monster's power was formed by the fusion of the 2 different powers of immortal and devil. It was very similar to Su Fong's yin-yang world and was also not affected by the lunar magnetism stone. Moreover, this strange power that was neither immortal nor devil had the unique ability to dissolve the enemy's attack and cause true chi and Dharma treasures to become chaotic. The demonic immortal monster's punch collided with the heavenly slaughter lightning emperor's attack. The heavenly slaughter lightning emperor's monstrous aura was immediately worn down and suppressed. However, the demonic immortal monster ignored the heavenly slaughter lightning emperor's terrifying attack with its powerful physical body and charged towards the heavenly slaughter lightning emperor with unstoppable momentum. Puff, puff, puff. Although the demonic immortal monster's current strength was not small compared to a peerless immortal venerable like immortal Lady Frozen Dream, it was still stronger than the heavenly slaughter lightning emperor. Coupled with its powerful physical body and the power of the yin-yang immortal demon, how could the heavenly slaughter lightning emperor be its opponent? The heavenly slaughter lightning emperor's aura field was first shattered before the demonic immortal monster's punch landed on his body again and again. Every punch landed on his body and produced a series of muffled sounds. The arrogant heavenly slaughter lightning emperor could only be trampled and destroyed without any strength to fight back. If his physical body had not died long ago, and he could absorb the power of the evil yang to recover, his physical body would have been destroyed by the demonic immortal monster's attacks. It's actually an immortal venerable expert. What kind of monster is this? It has such a strange power and such a powerful physical body. The heavenly slaughter lightning emperor was beaten until he was dizzy and disoriented. He turned around and wanted to escape. At this moment, a black Xian Guang shot out from the demonic immortal monster's eyes. The second primordial spirit shot out and hit the back of the heavenly slaughter lightning emperor's head. It forcefully and domineeringly broke through the defense of the divine aperture and charged into the sea of magic power. The battle between the demonic immortal monster and the heavenly slaughter lightning emperor shifted to the divine aperture of the heavenly slaughter lightning emperor. A battle of life and death between the two primordial spirits began. Chi! A red light landed on the heavenly slaughter lightning emperor's body. Immediately, flames started to burn and quickly enveloped his entire body. It turned out that Su Fong had activated the Origin's sacred mirror and released the terrifying Nine-Yang true fire to incinerate the heavenly slaughter lightning emperor. As the purple Chi Dharma spirit became complete, the Nine-Yang 9 transformations had entered the 4th transformation. Moreover, the 39th Yang meridian was about to be born. The Heaven and Earth Tao Palace had also cultivated some divine power. Another important reason was that there was an additional sun in the sky. This made it easier for Su Fong to activate the Origin sacred mirror. Therefore, Su Fong was now able to activate a portion of the mirror's power. Although it was only a small portion, how terrifying was the Origin's sacred mirror, a peerless divine artifact. The Nine-Yang true fire that Su Fong cultivated was superior to any flames in the great world. However, its power was not even 1/10,000th of the Nine-Yang true fire released by the mirror. One could imagine how powerful the Nine-Yang true fire was. In addition, the Nine-Yang true fire contained the power of extreme yang, which could counter all evil powers. At this moment, Su Fong was still unable to activate the mirror to deal with cultivators. However, the heavenly slaughter lightning emperor was not a cultivator. He was an evil creature that had been resurrected. Under the divine power of the mirror, he was immediately doomed. =_ our download address. Mobile reading. Bibliographic review. Chapter 1434. Whoosh! The second primordial spirit came out of the sky, killing Thunder Emperor's divine aperture ocean and returned to the immortal demon monster's body. Chi! 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 The Nine-Yang true fire burned fiercely on the sky, killing Thunder Emperor's body. No matter how hard this revived immortal venerable struggled, he couldn't escape from the terrifying power of the divine artifact. His body was being burned layer by layer. Su Fong increased the amount of Yang Qi injected into the mirror. The red light released from the mirror suddenly became more intense and wrapped around the sky, killing Thunder Emperor's body. Damn it! What kind of Tao artifact is this? Even I can't resist it. Don't kill me. The sky killing Thunder Emperor turned into red flames after self-immolation and moved uncontrollably towards Su Fong. Finally, he was sucked in the mirror with a whoosh. A peerless, resurrected, immortal venerable was suppressed just like that. After a dozen breaths, a red pearl condensed on the surface of the origin sacred mirror. It was actually refined by the sky-killing Thunder Emperor. The energy in his body condensed into an elixir bead. However, there wasn't a trace of evil aura in it. It was filled with dense origin yang qi. Activating the origin sacred mirror consumed a lot of Su Fang's yang qi. It almost drained all the yang qi in his yang meridian. However, with this pearl formed by refining the sky-killing Thunder Emperor, he could quickly replenish the yang qi he used. He could even successfully form his 39th yang meridian. That huge extreme magnetic stone fell down after losing the control of the sky-killing Thunder Emperor. The immortal demon monster shot out a yin-yang immortal demon power and sent it to Su Fang. Although the extreme magnetic stone is powerful, it doesn't have much effect on me. After keeping the extreme magnetic stone, the immortal demon monster, and the undead king, Su Fang returned to the square heaven great world. From the beginning, Su Fang didn't think of subduing the sky-killing Thunder Emperor. That was because the resurrected powerhouses were resurrected by the evil energy of the evil sun rising explosion. Their innate nature was filled with evil and ruthlessness. Even if they were suppressed, it would be difficult to control them, unlike the undead lords who maintained a complete consciousness. The heavenly slaughter lightning emperor's strength had reached the immortal venerable level, and Su Fang could only kill him by activating the mirror. It was also very difficult to refine him into a corpse puppet, so he could only use the mirror's divine power to refine him into a pill. Just like that, a calamity that was enough to destroy a major world was easily resolved by Su Fang in a seemingly casual manner. Almighty Emperor Su. In the square heaven world, there was a burst of earth-shattering cheers, welcoming the return of Su Fang. The experts of the 8 forces, who only dared to watch the battle from afar, all rushed to the square heaven world in shock. Of course, their purpose was not to flatter the Su Fang, but to curry favor with them. Now, in this immortal realm, besides the square heaven world, who else could resist the catastrophe brought about by the change of heaven and earth? If it didn't climb up to Su Fang now, when would they have to wait? In the faraway void, the great star hall's lucky star, immortal venerable, saw everything that was happening in the square heaven great world. The heavenly slaughter lightning emperor, an immortal venerable level resurrected expert, and tens of millions of resurrected troops, was actually so weak in the hands of Su Fang. Su Fang is simply an inhuman monster. Lucky Star Immortal Venerable was shocked. After pondering for a moment, Lucky Star Immortal Venerable's eyes revealed a ruthless look. The Great Star Hall and Su Fang are already irreconcilable enemies. Unless the Great Star Hall takes the initiative to lower its head to him, he will definitely be a great threat to the Great Star Hall Chamber of Commerce once he matures. However, how can the higher-ups of the Chamber of Commerce lower their heads to him? He must be killed as soon as possible. Fortunately, there is still the Devil Race. Demon Venerable Manshur will definitely not let him go, so there is no need for me to take action personally. Looking at the faraway void, Lucky Star Immortal Venerable smiled complacently in an area of space-time turbulence. In the area of space-time turbulence, there were 2 figures with a vague aura. If one wasn't a peerless figure like Lucky Star Immortal Venerable, it would be impossible to detect their existence. These 2 figures were the experts of the Devil Race, Demon Venerable Manshur and Demon Emperor Crimson Nightmare. After fusing with the human cultivator, Demon Emperor Crimson Nightmare, who had a handsome and flawless face, was now pale and his eyes were filled with fear. Demon Venerable Manshur said majestically, "Crimson Nightmare, after seeing Su Fang's strength, do you still think I'm being cautious?" Demon Emperor Crimson Nightmare smiled bitterly. In just a few hundred years, this human cultivator has become so powerful. I'm afraid it will be very difficult for the Devil Race to control this immortal domain. This person's overall strength hasn't been fully displayed. If the Devil Race wants to eliminate him, they will definitely have to pay a heavy price. Even if I personally take action, it will still be the same. It seems like we can only report back to the clan and ask for the supreme devil artifact of the devil race that can devour the providence of the immortal Tao. Demon Emperor Crimson Nightmare cried out involuntarily, "Lord Demon Venerable." "You mean Demon Venerable Man," Shur said gloomily. "Yes, it is that devil artifact. Although it is not the most powerful devil artifact of the devil race, it is perfect for dealing with the immortal Tao. Su Fong and his square heaven great world can be buried under the might of this devil artifact. It is a supreme honor bestowed by the demon god. Square heaven great world. In the palace, the experts from the eight forces were praising and complimenting Su Fong endlessly, causing the experts under him to have goosebumps. Su Fong said majestically, "If you have something to say, just say it. If not, I won't keep you company." The palace suddenly quieted down. A white immortal emperor cupped his fists towards Su Fong and said, "Heaven and earth are changing and calamity is sweeping across the great world. In this immortal domain, only Lord Emperor Su can turn the tide. Therefore, we are willing to worship Lord Emperor Su as the leader of the immortal Tao and lead the eight great worlds to tide through this calamity together." The other experts spoke one after another, with the same meaning as the white immortal emperor. "Worship me as the leader?" Su Fong was taken aback and immediately understood what these people meant. "Do you think that I, Su Fong, am a fool? There is nothing wrong with joining forces to tide through the calamity of the immortal Tao. However, do you think I don't know what you were thinking? The so-called worship me as the leader is just to make me stand out and bear the calamity for you. If the strength of square heaven great world is damaged, the first to jump out and stab us in the back will be you." The corners of Su Fong's mouth curled up into a sneer full of mockery, unceremoniously exposing the intentions of these people. Having their thoughts exposed, the expressions of the various powerhouses became unsightly. The white immortal emperor said vehemently, "Rinjian Manor has been promoting Lord Emperor Su's righteous name everywhere. Are you really going to watch the other great worlds be destroyed and not save them? Watch them die. Even if I want to save them, I have to act according to my ability. If I fail to save them and end up losing myself, I, Su Fong, will not be such a good person. You don't have to put such a big hat on me. I, Su Fong, don't care about reputation. Today, I easily killed the Tiansha Thunder Emperor and subdued an army of 30 million revived cultivators. Do you think I am qualified to be the savior of the world? I just happen to have a divine ability and Tao artifact that can restrain the revived experts. Killing the Tiansha Thunder Emperor was definitely not as easy as you think. Moreover, the calamity has just begun. The real calamity of the end of the world is still to come. If the peerless experts of the ancient immortal demon battlefield come to this immortal domain, together with the demon army, that will be the real calamity of this immortal domain. Everyone's hearts sank. Su Fong was right. The revived experts of the ancient immortal demon battlefield and the demon army were the real fatal threats of the immortal Tao. Who could resist them then? Suddenly, the white immortal emperor knelt on the ground. "Lord Emperor Su, please save us for the sake of the countless cultivators, citizens, and living beings." The experts of the other 8 great worlds also knelt. Su Fong said coldly, "If we want to survive the calamity, the only way is to join hands without holding back. If we continue to fight and scheme against each other, sooner or later we will be destroyed. Emperor Su, please tell us what we should do. The immortal domain is too vast. If we want to join hands to survive the calamity, we must gather all our strength. Only by gathering all the strength of this immortal domain and fighting the revived experts of the demon army and the immortal demon battlefield to the death can we have a chance of survival. I do have a way. That is, we can cut our losses and abandon some immortal realms that cannot be defended. We can drag those immortal realms that are rich in spiritual chi to the vicinity of a square heaven world and connect them to form a galaxy. We can build a strong world barrier that connects them as one. In this way, we can attack and defend. Perhaps we can fight for a way out for this immortal domain. Hearing Su Fang's idea, everyone was dumbfounded. What kind of astonishing courage did such a bold idea require? Besides Su Fang, in the entire great world, how many people could come up with such an idea? You can slowly think about it, but there is not much time left for you. The demon army may already be waiting in Demon Dawn Fortress, ready to invade this immortal domain at any time. If you agree with my idea, I can send out experts to help you move the immortal realms to the vicinity of the Square Heaven Great World. After Su Fang finished speaking, he got up and left, leaving behind a group of experts of the 8 great worlds who were lost in thought. Entering the true dragon world, Law's voice came from the Blood Jade. Su Fang, you are really despicable. You actually plan to unite the 8 great worlds to protect the periphery of the Square Heaven Great World for you. Law, you are wrong. I'm not doing this for the Square Heaven Great World, but to save this immortal domain as much as possible. Law said with surprise, you have such good intentions. If this immortal domain is completely destroyed, how can the Square Heaven Great World survive alone? However, the 8 great worlds are all scheming against each other, and their hearts are not united. It is difficult for them to achieve great things. I can only use this method to try to grasp all the power in my hands. This way, not only will it benefit the Square Heaven Great World, but this immortal domain as well. I hope your plan will succeed. After ending his conversation with Law, Su Fang began to enter a state of cultivation. No matter when, strength was always the way of the king. Hua. After forming the seal, Su Fang's body collapsed, turning into the Yellow Springs Blood Sea. Then he swallowed and fused with the pills refined by the Sky Slaughter Thunder Emperor, borrowing the Yang power to attack his 39th Yang Meridian. =_ download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1435. About half a year later, in the True Dragon Realm's Cultivation Dao Hall, Su Fang's original body, which was sitting cross-legged in the Yellow Springs Blood Sea, suddenly felt a familiar movement. After entering the Heaven and Earth Dao Palace, he took a closer look. It turned out that the 39th Yang Meridian had been successfully formed. The 38 Yang Meridians were constantly pouring Yang energy into the Yang Meridian. Su Fang was not surprised by the birth of this Yang Meridian. After fusing with the metamorphosis force produced when the dragon bird was born, the 39th Yang Meridian was about to be born. The Heavenly Slaughter Thunder Emperor was refined into an elixir-like pearl by the Origin Sacred Mirror. It was filled with Origin Yang energy. After being fused with by Su Fang, it was only natural that the 39th Yang Meridian would be born. Su Fang's expression was as calm as an ancient well. He did not show much joy as he continued to immerse himself in cultivation. The birth of a new Yang Meridian had consumed a lot of Yang energy. He needed to continue devouring the pearl that had not been completely consumed and cultivate the 9 Yang 9 transformations so that his Yang energy would reach a state of abundance. The Yang energy in the pearl was quite shocking. Other than recovering Yang energy, Su Fang also separated a part of it and condensed it into a ball of energy for the dragon bird to devour so that it could grow stronger. Although the dragon bird was very extraordinary, it had just been born. It still needed to devour Yang energy to grow rapidly. The stronger it was, the more help it would be to Su Fang equals N_R. When the Yang energy in the Yang Meridian was more or less recovered, a blood clone sitting cross-legged above the Yellow Springs Blood Sea suddenly opened its eyes and looked at Su Fang. You've comprehended a new ability after cultivating the Heaven's secret life, shrinking technique. Su Fang also sensed it at the same time. He was surprised and delighted. He opened his mouth and inhaled. The blood clone that cultivated the Heaven's secret life, shrinking technique, immediately turned into a pool of blood and was sucked into Su Fang's body to fuse with his original body. Fate was ethereal and empty. The Heavenly secret life, shrinking technique, was even more mysterious and difficult to cultivate. Su Fang had obtained the Heavenly Tao profundity from the Heavenly Spirit root in the Ascension Pool, allowing him to gain a deeper understanding of the Heavenly Tao. After so many years of cultivation, he had gained a deeper understanding of the 9 yang, 9 transformations, ethereal truth, and Yellow Springs Blood Sea. However, the heavenly secret life shrinking technique had not made much progress. Who would have thought that right after the birth of a yang meridian, the heavenly secret life shrinking art would also have a breakthrough? This was truly a joyous occasion. Ever since Fairy Xuanxin was taken away by Fairy Frozen Dream, Su Fang's mood had always been somewhat gloomy. Now that good things had happened one after another, her mood had finally improved. A large number of mysterious Dao runes immediately appeared in Su Fang's mind. Some were Dao runes that Su Fang had already cultivated and comprehended, but there were also some unfamiliar Dao runes. Decipher these Dao runes. Fate and creation. I wield the secrets of the heavens. If I am the master, all the worlds will submit to me. In the end, these mysterious and unfamiliar Dao runes merged with a line of Dao runes that he had seen before. Fate and creation. I wield the secrets of the heavens. If I am the master, all the worlds will submit to me. If I am the master, all the worlds will submit to me. Su Fang's eyes flashed with a hearty light. It turned out that the new ability that he had comprehended from the heavenly secret life shrinking art was not to conceal one's aura, nor was it to deprive others of their karmic fate. Instead, it was the ability to devour the fate, fortune, and faith of an empire, sect, or even an immortal world. This ability did not only come from the comprehension of the heavenly secret life shrinking art, but also from the complete purple Chi Dharma spirit. The main ability of the purple Chi Dharma spirit was to bring Su Fang supreme fortune, and fortune was also a kind of fate. The mysterious woman in the mirror was right. As the purple Chi Dharma spirit was complete, it also brought about an astonishing transformation to the heavenly secret life shrinking art. He carefully studied the Dao runes. Half a year later, whoosh, Su Fang merged all his doppelgangers with his original body and flew out of the true dragon realm. The Green Feather Emperor followed him. Passing through the world barrier, they arrived in the sky above the square heaven great world. The Green Feather Emperor asked, Su Fang, where are you going? Celestial Demon Mountain. It turned out that Su Fang wanted to use the Celestial Demon Mountain, a demonic sect, to test the power of the heavenly secret life shrinking art that he had just comprehended. Su Fang jumped onto the Green Feather Emperor's back and broke through the sky with a whoosh. Celestial Demon Mountain equals N_R. It was known as a demonic sect in the immortal domain along with the 9 nightmare demon sect. It had always been secretly colluding with the demon race and acting as their lackey. The calamity had swept through the immortal domain, and the other great worlds have been affected and suffered heavy losses. However, the Celestial Demon Mountain seemed to be safe and sound. Naturally, it was because there were demon experts overseeing this sect. As soon as the Green Feather Emperor's gigantic demonic body appeared on the Celestial Demon Mountain, it was immediately discovered, causing chaos in the entire sect. Countless demonic cultivators, including experts from the Demon Clan and even the 5 demon emperors, were present. Emperor Su is here. The Celestial Demon Mountain is finished this time. The cultivators and demonic cultivators of the Celestial Demon Mountain, who had been aggressive just now, immediately recognized Su Fang, who was standing with his hands behind his back on the Green Feather Emperor's back. They were all shocked, and as if they had seen a scourge, they all retreated into the sect and immediately activated the sect's protective array to the maximum. Su Fang, why do you need to personally come to destroy the Celestial Demon Mountain? The Green Feather Emperor asked, puzzled. You'll know when you see it. Su Fang smiled coldly. Fate is the creation of fortune, and I control the heavenly secrets. If I am the master, all the worlds will submit to me. Su Fang's eyes burned with an ethereal divine light as he chanted the profound meaning of the Tao runes of fate with his primordial spirit. Because it was a new ability that he had just comprehended, Su Fang seemed to be very strenuous, and his face turned pale. This won't do. Using the heavenly secret life, shrinking art consumes too much of my life aura. With my current cultivation realm, I can't bear it at all. There was a moment of silence. A mysterious purple aura suddenly burst out of Su Fang's body, containing supreme fortune and the aura of an emperor. In the next moment, Su Fang once again used the heavenly secret life shrinking art. Boom! Cultivators cultivated in defiance of the heavens. Every expert had fortune that ordinary people did not have, and every force naturally also had profound fortune. Since the celestial demon mountain, a demonic force, could stand in the great world for millions of years, it naturally also had astonishing fortune. At this moment, it was as if there was an invisible hand in the unseen world that was forcefully and overbearingly stripping away the fortune of the celestial demon mountain. In an instant, all the cultivators who used the celestial demon mountain as their source of power suddenly felt as if they had lost the protection of the heavenly Tao. Not only would the celestial demon mountain cultivators find it difficult to advance in their cultivation from now on, but all kinds of disasters and misfortune would constantly accompany the entire sect and even every celestial demon mountain cultivator. The purple aura that lingered around Su Fang suddenly became much thicker, and after tumbling for a while, it quickly condensed into a purple cloud that was 100 feet in size above his head. It was like an emperor's imperial canopy, and a supreme fortune enveloped his entire body. What a magical and incomparably overbearing power of destiny. The Green Feather Emperor was so shocked that he was speechless for a moment. Su Fang was also very happy, activating the heavenly secret life shrinking art's ability to devour fortune, and at the same time, combining it with the purple aura dharma spirit. It actually had such divine power equals and underscore one. However, Su Fang also paid a considerable price for this, consuming almost 30% of his precious life force. His temples turned gray, and he looked like a middle-aged man in his 40s. Law spoke from the blood jade in his body. Su Fang, this ability of yours is simply heaven-defying. In the great world, or even in myriad realms, it's unique. It's a pity that my cultivation realm is not high enough. And the main reason is that the purple aura dharma spirit is not perfect enough. If I raise my cultivation to a higher level, the purple aura dharma spirit will also reach perfection. Then, not only will I be able to devour a sect like the Celestial Demon Mountain, but I'll also be able to devour the fortune of an entire immortal world, a great world, and even a race. Law deeply agreed with Su Fang's words. That's right. If you have enough strength, I reckon you can even devour the fortune of Colossus like the heavenly mandate Haotsong sect. You can even use this ability to devour the fortune of the entire demon race, the mortal enemy of the immortal Tao cultivators. Thus, you can completely solve the demon race's great problem that the immortal Tao has not solved for countless years. It's simply too heaven-defying. Devour the fortune of the demon race? My current strength is still too far away. I'll be satisfied if I can protect myself in the catastrophe. My cultivation realm can't be improved in a short period of time. I can only think of a way through the purple aura dharma spirit. I must go to the boundless secular palace as soon as possible to figure out the origin of the purple aura dharma spirit and try to perfect it. Only then will I have the ability to deal with the catastrophe. Finally, there was a way to gain a foothold in the catastrophe. The haze in Su Fang's heart finally dissipated a lot. At this time, a roar full of grief, indignation, and despair came from the Celestial Demon Mountain. The Celestial Demon Mountain is completely finished. Su Fang, you're actually so vicious. The entire Celestial Demon Mountain will fight you to the death. The entire Celestial Demon Mountain fell into despair, and then it went completely crazy. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Millions of Celestial Demon Mountain cultivators madly attacked. If a sect was destroyed, there would always be some lucky survivors. Perhaps there would be a day when they could make a comeback. If a sect lost its fortune, it would be the end of its fortune. Even the heavenly Tao would reject it. Sooner or later, it would be completely destroyed. It was simply too vicious. It would be strange if these Celestial Demon Mountain cultivators didn't go crazy. Let's go. Su Fong didn't even look at the celestial Demon Mountain cultivators. He let the Cyan Feather Emperor leave directly. Back in the square heaven world, Su Fong separated his palms. The Xian Guang flashed, and a primordial spirit shadow immediately appeared in his palms. It was the young master of the Divine Palace, Gong Yu. Emperor Su, you suddenly contacted me. Are you planning to enter the boundless secular palace? Gong Yu's primordial spirit shadow laughed. That's right. The Divine Palace has been greatly affected by this catastrophe. It's difficult for me to get away at this time. However, I'll immediately send an expert from the Divine Palace to deliver a palace feather to you. Emperor Su can use the palace feather to sense the location of the boundless secular palace. We'll meet at the palace gate when the time comes. You want me to go directly to the boundless secular palace? Su Fong couldn't help feeling a little surprised, but he didn't ask much. After cutting off contact with Gong Yu, Su Fong entered the Jinlong realm. He swallowed elixirs and spiritual objects to restore the life force he had just consumed. =our download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1436. Invasion of Demons Whoosh. The Yellow Springs Blood Sea burned with a huff. Su Fong's comprehension of the Yellow Springs Blood Sea had also reached a higher level after ascending to both the Sage and Immortal realms. At this moment, Su Fong had transformed into a pool of blood, reaching an astonishing 20,000 feet in length. He truly possessed the form of a sea, as well as the terrifying aura of a roaring sea. Moreover, his devouring ability had also become incomparably astonishing. Although there was still a huge gap between him and the Yellow Spring Great Emperor when he transformed into a blood sea to devour a powerful sect, Su Fong was confident that it would be easy for him to devour a medium-sized city. However, what Su Fong valued more about the Yellow Springs Blood Sea was not this. Instead, he wanted to use the Yellow Springs Blood Sea's ability to devour life energy and quickly recover his vitality. If Su Fong cooperated with the Black Lotus True Body at the same time, he could devour life forms and turn them into life force in an instant to make up for the consumed life force. Such recovery speed was amazing. Not only Su Fong, Gui's cultivation of the underworld blood sea had also reached an astonishing level. In terms of devouring ability and the corrosive power of the blood water, even Su Fong was slightly inferior. It was just that the surface area of the blood water was larger than Su Fong's. Gui come. A Su Fong materialized at the center of the blood sea, summoning the blood wraith true demon. Unexpectedly, as soon as Gui appeared, the dragon bird on Su Fong's shoulder sensed the evil aura on Gui's body. It flew up and transformed into a monster that was neither a dragon nor a bird more than 10 feet long. Its eyes were burning with dazzling sunlight. Gui also sensed that the dragon bird had an aura that restrained it, and it let out a low roar. However, in the next instant, the two monsters, one righteous and one evil, sensed the aura from each other's bodies that was connected to Su Fong's bloodline. They both revealed doubtful expressions. Then, they tried to get closer to each other and started fighting with each other. These two little fellows. Su Fong smiled. It turned out that the reason he summoned Gui was to let Gui cultivate the Netherworld reincarnation technique. From now on, all the abilities of the Netherworld Great Emperor would be under his control. This would help Su Fong master the reincarnation ability in his body, as well as the devouring ability in refining blood. In terms of talent in cultivating the Yellow Spring Blood Sea, Gui's ability was even superior to that of the Yellow Spring Great Emperor and Su Fong. This was because Gui was a monster born from blood essence. He condensed the underworld samsara technique and Su Fong's understanding of it into a rune mark and sent it into Gui's mind. Then he separated a small part of his essence blood to help Gui cultivate. If this continued, even Su Fong wasn't sure how high Gui would grow. However, one thing was certain. If Gui continued to grow like this, her future achievements would be even higher than the Yellow Spring Great Emperor. In the eyes of other cultivators, Gui was a monster or a tool. However, Su Fong regarded Gui Gui as his own child. Naturally, he would carefully raise her. At the same time, Su Fong was also in the true dragon world. He transformed the 20 million resurrected cultivators that the undead monarch had swallowed with the dark sky burying coffin. Using the method of creating immortal blood spirits and corpse refining puppets, he created an army of resurrected cultivators. As he cultivated in the true dragon world, Su Fong was also paying attention to the movements of the great worlds as well as the movements of the demons in Demon Dawn. The demons didn't make any movements. Even when Su Fong swallowed the destiny of Demonic Mountain, the demons didn't respond. It was as if they had already forgotten about the immortal domain. But Su Fong was well aware that behind this calm, a storm was brewing. The various influences of the 8 cardinal great worlds finally made a decision. According to Su Fong's proposal, they used great supernatural powers and countless manpower. At the same time, Su Fong also sent out powerhouses to help, bringing the various immortal worlds closer to the square heaven's great world. This was something that couldn't be helped. The catastrophe swept through the great worlds. If they didn't unite, when the ancient immortal demon battlefield and the demons entered the immortal domain, the 8 cardinal great worlds would sooner or later be reduced to a small world. By gathering the essence of the immortal worlds around the square heaven's great world, Su Fong would undoubtedly have great power fall into his hands. However, compared to his life, power could only be temporarily put aside. First, it was the Yuan Fortune Great World and the sky-bearing Great World around a square heaven's Great World. Then it was the surrounding Great Worlds. One by one, they moved the essence of the immortal worlds to the periphery of the square heaven's Great World. More than 100 years passed in this way equals N_R. Around the square heaven's Great World, there were hundreds of immortal world plate continents. The essence of the immortal domain had all gathered here. As for the other immortal worlds, they could only try their best to move their cultivators and citizens. Those that couldn't be moved could only be abandoned. The heavenly Tao was heartless. The apocalypse was just that cruel. Hundreds of immortal worlds floated in the void, converging to form an incomparably magnificent galaxy. And the square heaven's great world was the center of this galaxy. Next, Su Fong joined forces with the powerhouses of the 8 macro worlds to create solid world barriers for each of the immortal realms. Then, with the square heaven world as the center, he connected the world barriers of more than 100 immortal realms into one. In this way, the immortal Tao forces of the immortal domain were connected into one. After the great worlds were united, there could only be one leader, Emperor Su. In this way, Su Fong became the absolute overlord of the immortal domain. There was no other. However, everyone knew that Su Fong, this overlord, not only possessed supreme power, but also shouldered a heavy burden. This was related to the life and death of the entire immortal Tao. After a series of reorganization, Su Fong prepared to head to the boundless secular palace. Who knew that at this time, the spies waiting outside the Demon Dawn fortress would bring back news of the demon race's large-scale invasion. The demon race army came from the outer space of the Demon Dawn fortress, killing their way out of the abyss passageway. Their numbers reached 30 million. In addition, the demon race had infiltrated the immortal domain a long time ago and controlled almost all the demon Tao forces. In addition to the demon Tao cultivators, the demon race army reached 50 million. The demon race army was not only evil and cruel, but also good at war. They were definitely not a motley crew of reincarnated cultivators under the Sky Slaughter Thunder Emperor. Moreover, the demon race's individual combat strength was much stronger than that of immortal Tao cultivators. They also had many evil divine abilities and cultivation methods. Moreover, there were more than 20 demon emperor powerhouses in the demon race army. It was unknown how many more demon race powerhouses had yet to appear. In the previous immortal demon wars, the reason immortal Tao cultivators were able to defeat the demon race was because of their numbers and background. Now that the world had changed, under the influence of the evil Yang Pill's evil power, the world's spiritual energy had become thin and even dried up. The immortal Tao cultivators' overall strength had been suppressed. Not only were the demon race not affected by the evil power, but their strength had also increased by a large margin. In this situation, the immortal Tao cultivators' advantage had disappeared. The demon race army majestically charged towards the square heaven great world. Another immortal demon war had begun in the immortal domain. Everyone, hundreds of Saint Immortal Realm powerhouses had gathered in the Great Hall. All the immortal Emperor powerhouses in the immortal domain, including the secluded rogue cultivators and some peerless demon emperors, were gathered here. Su Fong sat high up in his seat, his eyes shining with divine light. He swept his gaze over the powerhouses under him and the powerhouses from the other great worlds. At this moment, Su Fong was the one and only overlord of the immortal domain. Every look and every action of his carried the supreme aura of a ruler. The moment of life and death has arrived. Those who collude with the demon race, kill. Those who don't listen to the decree and cower in fear of death, kill. Kill, kill, kill. Strict and cold decrees were passed down one after another. The Great Hall was filled with murderous intent. Then came the rewards for meritorious service. This time, Su Fong was not the only one who took out hundreds of millions of yin-yang immortal sky pills. The other forces did not dare to hold back and took out incomparably rich resources to reward those cultivators who had killed the enemy. Immediately after, the square heaven great world and the other immortal domains began a great purge. As for those sects, family forces, and merchant associations that had secretly colluded with the demon race, they were completely wiped out without mercy. Especially the square heaven great world. No matter how well hidden the spies were, they had nowhere to hide under Su Fong's various abilities. They were all dug out and wiped out. The cultivators of the square heaven great world and the 8 great worlds, even the big goblin that had always been at odds with human cultivators, were all mobilized. 3 years later, the demon race army appeared outside the Milky Way. It was a black mass like dark clouds pressing down. Demonic chi filled the sky, covering the sky and the sun. It was astonishing, seeing the Milky Way formed by the various immortal domains. Demon Sovereign Monsi, who was in the demon race army, revealed a shocked expression. Su Fong's abilities and boldness are unmatched. Even this seat has to admire him. Fortunately, this time, we brought out the clan suppressing demonic artifact. Otherwise, even if the demon race could conquer this immortal domain, they would suffer heavy casualties. Then, Demon Sovereignty gave a murderous order. Bring out the clan, suppressing demonic chi. This seat wants to completely turn this immortal domain into a wasteland. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Nearly 1,000 experts flew out from the demon race army and rose into the sky above the Milky Way. They were divided into 9 groups, each occupying an area. Then, one of the demon race experts threw out a ghastly white, thigh bone-like object. It was 10 meters tall and looked like a huge nail forged from thigh bones. It was covered in dense and profound demonic runes that gave off a mysterious and ancient aura. One by one, the demon race powerhouses sent out waves of demonic chi into the white bone nails. The large white bone nail was astonishingly nailed into the void inch by inch. This scene was very strange. What is that? In the square heaven great world and the 8 great worlds, the immortal Tao experts who have been paying attention to the demon race's every move all saw this scene. Although they didn't know what the demon race wanted to do, an ominous premonition welled up in their hearts. Luo, can you recognize what demonic artifact that is? Su Fong also couldn't recognize what demonic artifact it was, but someone else did. With the help of Su Fong's divine might, Luo clearly saw the large white bone nail that the demon experts had taken out. His voice suddenly became urgent and thunderous. The 9 netherworld god-devil nail. The great war of immortals and demons has just begun, but the demon race has already taken out such an incomparably evil demonic artifact. Luo, what grade is the 9 netherworld god-devil nail? Divine grade. Moreover, this demonic artifact is incomparably evil. During the Great War of Immortals and Demons, it was infamous for its ferocity. Download address, mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1437. The Nine Netherworld Fiend God Spike. Though it wasn't the most powerful demonic treasure the demons had, it was the most evil of all, crafted specifically for the immortal Tao. The demonic treasure, didn't have any offensive capabilities, but sealed off the world. Once the 9 demonic spikes were nailed into the void of an immortal Tao world and activated in a formation, they could seal off the world's vitality and devour it. The 9 Netherworld Fiend God Spike looked similar to the Dead Lord's great formation of Spirit Devourer, but it was 100 times more evil and powerful. Why was that? The great formation of Spirit Devourer was a formation. As long as one was strong enough, they could break out. The 9 Netherworld Fiend God Spike, on the other hand, was refined from the bones of gods and demons from all over the universe. Its power was boundless, and not even the peak powerhouses of a major world could break it. Moreover, the 9 Netherworld Fiend God Spike's evilness lay in the fact that as long as it locked onto an immortal Tao world, it would devour the vitality of all cultivators, citizens, and even plants. That wasn't all. What was even more frightening was that there was no divine ability that could dispel the evil power of the 9 underworld's god-devil spike. Their life force could only be slowly devoured. Even if they escaped from this immortal domain, it would be useless. No matter where they went, the result would be the same. During the Great War of the Immortals and Demons, countless immortal realms were turned into dead lands under the power of the 9 Serenity's god-demon spikes. Countless lives were lost, too. Su Fong, you must be careful. This will likely be the greatest test you've faced since you started cultivating, Law said gravely. Su Fong's heart sank to the bottom of the abyss when he heard Law's solemn words. If it was as Law said, the war would be over as soon as it started. All the immortal Tao cultivators could do was wait for their deaths. What do you think we should do, Law? You've created a sturdy barrier between Square Heaven and the other immortal worlds. It can slow down the 9 Netherworld Fiend God Spike's evil power, but it's useless. All it can do is buy us some time. The only way to deal with it is to stop the demons before the 9 Netherworld God Fiend Spikes are activated and take all 9 of them away. I'm afraid the Crimson Nightmare Devil Emperor and that Devil Sovereign Expert are waiting for us to do so. Su Fong, you have no other way. This is the only way. That's the only way. Phew, Su Fong took a deep breath and calmed himself down. In such a crisis, he had to remain calm. The more flustered he was, the easier it was for him to make mistakes. Su Fong's majestic voice reverberated throughout the Heaven Grand World. At the same time, through the formation, it was transmitted to every immortal realm in the Milky Way. Stop the Devil Tribe at all costs. Whoosh! Whoosh! Su Fong brought the immortal fiend monster, as well as his subordinates, Dugamujian, Withered Rong Immortal, and the other immortal emperors, and flew out of the world barrier. Su Fong and the immortal demon monster went straight for a nearby 9 Netherworld demonic god nail. As for Dugamujian, old immortal Withered Rong, and Su Fong's immortal emperors, they worked together to kill the other one, while the undead lord dealt with one by himself. Countless cultivators also rushed out from the immortal realms and attacked the Devil Tribe experts who were shooting the 9 Netherworld demonic god nails into the void. Su Fong had already told everyone what would happen if the Milky Way was sealed by the 9 Netherworld demonic god nails. Therefore, many cultivators immediately used their strongest abilities and Tao artifacts. Demon Sovereign Monsi, who was in the middle of the Devil Tribe's army, said in surprise, "You actually know how to stop the 9 Netherworld demonic god nails. There are indeed many capable people in the immortal Tao. However, since the Sovereign has already summoned the 9 Netherworld demonic god nails, how can I allow you to destroy them? Since you've already left the world barrier, don't go back." Whoosh! Demon Sovereign Monsi stepped out of the Devil Tribe's army, followed by the other Devil Tribe experts, and went straight for the immortal Tao cultivators. The Devil Tribe's army spread out like the tide, forming a formation in the surroundings that surrounded the 9 netherworld demonic god Nails and the immortal Tao cultivators. Clearly, they were planning to catch them all in one fell swoop. Su Fong, do you still remember this emperor? This emperor will use your blood to dissolve the monstrous anger in my heart. 9 netherworld heaven covering hand equals N_R. Demon Emperor Crimson Nightmare let out a thunderous roar, and his physical body rapidly changed. His head and body turned into a sinister and terrifying heavenly demon form. He sent out a peerless black hand seal that attacked Su Fong. In the lightning fall abyss, Demon Emperor Crimson Nightmare's newborn demon was devoured by Su Fong's blood wraith true demon. After that, he almost died at Su Fong's hands. In the end, he had to borrow the underworld passage Demon Mirror and summon a demon sovereign to save his life. Demon Emperor Crimson Nightmare was a member of the Devil Tribe's royal family. His status was incomparably noble, yet he was beaten so miserably by a puny human cultivator. One could imagine his hatred for Su Fong. He immediately transformed into a heavenly demon and used his strongest ability. You think you have the right to kill me? Su Fong sneered disdainfully. He didn't bother with Demon Emperor Crimson Nightmare at all. Instead, he released a gigantic Gorb Demon. This Gorb Demon was the mount of Demon Sovereign Enchantment. Due to being sealed by immortal Sovereign Song Huan for too long, it almost died. Later, Su Fong rescued it. Over the years, Su Fong didn't hesitate to use countless resources to help the gigantic Gorb Demon recover. Currently, it had recovered more than half of its strength. Its strength had reached the terrifying 7 Paths Saint Immortal Realm. Demon Emperor Crimson Nightmare was equivalent to a 6 Paths Saint Immortal Realm cultivator. He was on par with the gigantic Gorb Demon. Su Fong, how dare you use a Gorb Demon to humiliate this emperor? Demon Emperor Crimson Nightmare was furious. Su Fong couldn't be bothered with him. He went straight for a 9 netherworld fiend god nail. Su Fong, I finally get to meet you. Demon Sovereign's figure blurred and blocked Su Fong's path. Just as he was about to make a move, an immortal fiend god monster attacked from the side. It's no wonder Su Fong could become the overlord of this immortal realm with an immortal sovereign. You have the right to fight me. Great barbaric fiend god palm. Demon Sovereign's body rapidly grew to a height of 300 feet. He looked like a supreme fiend god. Then, a monstrous wave of devil chi erupted from his body. His arms shook and suddenly parted, striking out with a shockingly huge palm. It felt like this palm could shatter an immortal realm. Su Fong activated his fire cloud wings and executed the fire cloud steps. He relied on his nimble body to avoid the Devil Clan's experts and charged toward the 9 netherworld fiend god nail. A mere 2 Paths Saint Immortal Realm cultivator dares to try and destroy a supreme devil artifact like the 9 netherworld fiend god nail? Die. A Devil Clan expert appeared from the void. He was a peerless Devil Clan expert at the 7 Paths Saint Celestial stage. Boom! Crimson flames erupted from the Devil Clan expert's body and rapidly turned into a raging inferno. A ruthless and evil aura shrouded the surroundings. A sinister laugh rang from the Devil Clan expert's mouth. Then, he charged toward Su Fong aggressively like a fiery devil. Since you dare to play with fire in front of me, Su Fong, I'll let you burn to your heart's content. Su Fong flipped his palm, and the fire cloud spirit gourd appeared in his hand. After activating it, an extremely domineering 9 suns celestial fire shot out and enveloped the Devil Clan expert. Under the tyrannical fire-type divine might of the 9 suns celestial fire, the devil race expert's devil flames immediately withered. Then, the devil race expert's devil flames were forcefully suppressed layer by the 9 suns celestial fire. The 9 suns celestial fire then burned the devil race expert. There's actually such a terrifying celestial fire in the great world. The Devil Clan expert, who was at the 7 Paths Saint Immortal Realm, was severely injured by the 9 suns celestial fire that shot out from the fire cloud spirit gourd. A portion of the Devil Clan experts who were activating the 9 Netherworld Fiend God Nail split off. At the same time, countless Devil Clan experts charged towards Su Fong from all directions. Devil Emperor Crimson Nightmare, who was fighting a gigantic gorilla demon, shouted smugly, "I order that we capture this person alive. I'll skin him alive and make him suffer a fate worse than death. All of you die." Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Tens of thousands of flying swords shot out from Su Fong's hand and formed a vast river of sword around him. Sword chi surged and swept in all directions. How magnificent and shocking was such a scene! Devil Emperor Crimson Nightmare's arrogant voice came to an abrupt halt. Tens of millions of Devil Clan soldiers were attracted by this magnificent scene. Every one of them was shocked and in disbelief. Su Fong was surrounded by a mysterious purple aura. He was like a peerless sword god as he controlled the river of swords. Wherever he went, the Devil Emperor experts had no choice but to dodge. The other Devil Clan experts below the Devil Emperor level were swept up by the sword chi and instantly turned into mincemeat. A rain of blood filled the void. In just a few short breaths, the Devil Clan experts around the 9 Netherworld Fiend God Nail were all wiped out by Su Fong. The 9 Netherworld Fiend God Nail was already more than 3 meters long. Su Fong's right hand ignited with a 9 suns celestial fire as he reached out to grab its tail. The demonic runes on the demonic weapon flickered. A force stronger than the Devil Clan in the Great World exploded from the weapon in an attempt to shake Su Fong's hand off. However, no matter how powerful the demonic weapon was, there was no one controlling it. Su Fong's 9 suns celestial fire was the most tyrannical flame in the Great World. It constantly burned the Fiend God power. The 9 Netherworld Fiend God Nail was firmly grasped by him, unable to budge an inch. Su Fong, with your cultivation realm, let's see if you can shake the 9 Netherworld Fiend God Nail in 10,000 years. Manshur, who was in a fierce battle with the Fiend God monster, sneered from afar. Is that so? Give it to me. Su Fong coldly shouted as he pushed the purple Chi Dharma spirit to the extreme. An astonishing divine power exploded from Su Fong's body. The weapon spirit in the 9 Netherworld Fiend God Nail was constantly trembling under the divine power of the purple Chi Dharma spirit. Waves of trembling sounds came from the demonic nail. Rise! The yang energy in Su Fong's body exploded as he pulled the 9 Netherworld Fiend God Nail out of the void. Then, Su Fong directly stored this divine-level demonic weapon into the Origin Sacred Mirror. Although the 9 Netherworld Fiend God Nail was a divine-level demonic weapon, Su Fong had only stored one of the 9 nails. Naturally, it did not have the terrifying power of a complete divine-level demonic weapon. Moreover, what kind of divine-level demonic weapon could break free from the mirror? Su Fong had just breathed a sigh of relief when Law loudly reminded him from the blood jade in his body. The 9 Netherworld Fiend God Nail is a set of demonic weapons. Breaking one nail can only weaken the power of the demonic weapon by 10%. If you want to stop this disaster, you have to break at least 5 of them. Su Fong felt as if a ladle of ice water had been poured over his head. His entire body felt cold. =our download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1438. Display of Strength in 9 Netherworld Fiend God Spike was a divine-grade demonic artifact refined from the bones of a fiend god. Mulberry Dance, Small Speak. Although the demon powerhouse couldn't fully activate the magic spike, it was definitely not easy to pull it out of the void and stop it from releasing the power of the demon weapon. Su Fong seemed to be able to easily pull out the demonic spike because he had the 9 Yang celestial fire and the violet cloud law spirit, the artifact spirit of the demonic spike. In the end, the demonic spike was sucked into the Origin Sacred Mirror, making it unable to struggle. How many immortals in the entire Great World could accomplish such a feat, let alone in the immortal domain? Then there were the other demonic spikes. The Dead Lord, a peerless expert at the peak of the 9 Dao, sane immortal realm, had dispersed the demonic experts around one of the demonic spikes, but he still couldn't do anything about it. All he could do was stop it from entering the void. Dugamujian, withered Rome immortal, and the other immortal emperors under Su Fong joined forces and barely managed to stop the spike from being activated, just like the Dead Lord. There were many immortals from other great worlds, and all of them were fighting with their lives on the line. Everyone knew what they were up against. If they didn't fight with all their might this time, they might not have another chance in the future. However, the demonic army wasn't just large in numbers, they were also extremely powerful. These immortals couldn't even get close to the demonic spikes. Instead, they were surrounded by the demonic army. Immortals continued to fall, but they continued to fight to the death without retreating. What regrets do I have in dying for my homeland? An immortal emperor, the realm lord of an immortal world, had once attacked Su Fong with other righteous Dao cultivators. He was on the verge of serious injuries under the encirclement of the demonic experts. He laughed loudly as his body exploded, sending a dozen demonic experts, including a demon emperor, flying in all directions. Your Excellency Emperor Su, the survival of the immortal Dao is in your hands. Another realm lord of an immortal world led more than 20 world immortals to attack a demonic spike. They detonated their own bodies and used their bodies to blast away and kill the demonic experts who were controlling the demonic spikes, preventing the spike from being activated. Tragic scenes like this played out one after another in the void. Su Fong's face was expressionless, but his eyes were filled with grief and indignation. Kill Su Fong and 9 netherworld fiend god spikes. Demon Sovereignty was extremely powerful. He was no ordinary immortal emperor realm lord, but he still couldn't escape from the demonic monsters and demonic beasts. Seeing Su Fong easily put away a demonic spike, Demon Commander Monsi was overwhelmed with shock and disbelief, but soon after, he roared and issued an order to the demon race army. Thus, Lord translation, and Lord Devil translation Lord translation translation of the vast ocean formed by the Devil Race's army also swept towards Su Fong in an overwhelming manner. Second primordial spirit, stop this demon sovereign at all costs. Wait for me to pull out all the 9 netherworld fiend god spikes. Su Fong transmitted to his second primordial spirit. Su Fong wasn't afraid once the 9 netherworld fiend god spikes were activated, but no one in the immortal domain would be spared, including Square Heaven Great World. How could Su Fong stay out of this? Su Fong's blood began to boil when he saw the cultivators charging toward the demonic army. He threw his own interests and even his own safety to the back of his mind. Rest assured, I won't let this demon sovereign disturb you. Second primordial spirit responded coldly. As long as demon sovereign Lord Monsi was entangled, Su Fong still had a chance. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Su Fong once again mobilized his 10,000 swords, forming a river of swords. He activated a torrent of sword chi and attacked a nearby 9 netherworld fiend god spike. The river of swords was like a meat grinder. Wherever it went, it set off a rain of blood. The demonic army was shredded into pieces. The demonic army had a strict hierarchy and strict laws. Who would dare to step forward when demon sovereign Lord Monsi personally issued an order? Demonic army after demonic army charged towards Su Fong, wearing down Su Fong's river of swords layer by layer. Finally, after tens of thousands of casualties, the river of swords collapsed. Ethereal primordial realm, devil eroding space. Su Fong activated the power of the world seed and used the ethereal primordial realm to create a space that covered 7,000 to 8,000 miles. He then spread the devil eroding poison to every corner of the space. Chi, chi, chi. The devil eroding poison was the nemesis of the demonic army. Coupled with the astonishing shackles formed by Su Fong's world's divine might, the devil eroding poison's power was pushed to the extreme. Within the range of Su Fong's divine might, the demonic army, including the devil emperors, was corroded layer by layer. They fell down in droves. In just the span of a few breaths, The devilish army in this area had become sparse and sparse. Devil-eroding poison. You actually have such a sinister poison that can restrain the demonic army. Su Fong, you slaughtered my demonic army. When I capture you, I will definitely make you wish you were dead. Demon Sovereign Lord Monsi roared angrily, his voice shaking the sky. A dignified demon sovereign actually said, "Such nonsense equals N_1." Su Fong mocked him back. Then, he went straight for 9 Netherworld Fiend God Spike. He activated the 9 Suns, Immortal Fire, and the Purple Cloud Lost Spirit to summon the artifact spirit of the demonic spike. Then, he stored the demonic spike in the Origin Sacred Mirror. Just like that, 2 demonic spikes were destroyed by Su Fong. Seeing this, the cultivators of the Immortal Dao's side were invigorated and burst into cheers. However, Su Fong didn't feel relaxed in the slightest. According to law, at least 5 demonic spikes had to be destroyed if they wanted to stop this disaster. The current situation hadn't changed much. Kill Su Fong first. Ignore the other Immortal Dao cultivators. Following Demon Sovereignty's roar, more than a dozen Devil Emperors, more than 100 World Immortals, and more than 1,000 Devil Golems comparable to top-grade Dao artifacts released by the demonic army charged at Su Fong without regard for anything. Master, be careful. Dugamujian and old immortal Withered Rome were shocked. They rushed over from afar. Don't worry about me. Continue to stop the demonic army from activating the 9 Netherworld Fiend God Spike. Su Fong shouted. He took out the Dragon Slayer Immortal Slaughtering Bow and pulled the bowstring. A dragon-shaped arrow shot out with a monstrous aura of slaughter and a momentum that could tear everything apart. Almost without stopping, Su Fong activated the Immortal Slaughtering Bow and released 2 more arrows. With the Purple Cloud Lost Spirit becoming complete, Su Fong could activate more than 70% of the Dragon Slayer Immortal Slaughtering Bow's power and could use it 3 times in a row. Although the dragon-slaying Immortal Bow had been repaired after it was damaged, its power was greatly reduced. It was not as powerful as the other 10 Dao artifacts, but its power was still shocking. Su Fong shot 3 consecutive arrows, killing 3 Demon Emperors and a dozen Gorb Demons. Hundreds of demonic puppets were also destroyed. Seeing that Su Fong wasn't in danger, old immortal Withered Rome relaxed and returned. Scarlet Nightmare, hand over your life. When Dugamujian saw the Scarlet Nightmare Devil Emperor fighting with the giant gorilla golem, his eyes were instantly filled with rage. He activated the dual annihilation swords and rushed over. His wife was used as a fetus by the Scarlet Nightmare Devil Emperor to give birth to the young Devil Emperor. With such an irreconcilable enmity, Dugamujian's eyes naturally turned red when he saw the Scarlet Nightmare Devil Emperor. He activated the Peerless Dao artifact in a row. He's already at the end of his strength. Kill him, and Lord Devil Emperor will definitely reward us handsomely. Seeing that Su Fong had activated the Immortal Slaughtering Bow 3 times in a row and his face turned pale, a Devil Emperor was immediately overjoyed. He thought that he could take advantage of this opportunity and transformed into a peerless heavenly devil. He activated the Devil Race's ability and charged towards Su Fong with monstrous devil flames. I'm afraid I'll have to disappoint you. Su Fong laughed coldly. With a boom, his entire body turned into a burning state, turning into a sea of fire. Then it swept out and engulfed the Devil Emperor. This peerless Devil Emperor, whose strength was at the 6th Dao realm, Saint Immortal realm, screamed miserably in the face of Su Fong's fire cloud, imperial physiques, peerless fire, elemental divine might. He unleashed his devil chi with all his might, but he couldn't escape from the sea of flames. In the end, he was burned to ashes. The mature fire cloud imperial physique's power was truly terrifying. Whoosh! The sea of flames swept forward and instantly engulfed 2 Devil Emperors, hundreds of Gorilla Golems, and over 100 Gorilla Golems, turning them into ashes. After transforming back into his physical form, Su Fong arrived in front of another God-Fiend nail. However, the price he paid was not small. His face was as pale as a sheet of paper. Let's see what other abilities you have now. Die. The remaining 7 or 8 Devil Emperors were overjoyed when they saw Su Fong's condition. They couldn't wait to kill him. Among them, one of the blood demons turned into a sea of blood and swept over like a raging wave. However, Su Fong didn't retreat. Instead, he advanced. His physical body shattered and turned into an astonishing sea of blood that was 20,000 feet long. He roared and tumbled as he charged toward the sea of blood formed by the blood demon. Boom! The two seas of blood collided and set off a shocking wave of blood. The explosion was like a raging wave crashing against the shore, shaking the entire area. Although Su Fong's underworld blood sea was far smaller than the sea of blood formed by the blood demon, Su Fong's underworld blood sea not only had amazing devouring and corrosive abilities, but also contained the divine might of reincarnation. How could a sane immortal realm blood demon be a match for it? Sizzle. The sea of blood formed by the blood demon was quickly devoured and merged with the underworld blood sea. Soon, 1/3 of it was devoured. The blood demon was shocked and terrified. He quickly rolled up his blood demon body and wanted to escape. However, Su Fong condensed in the underworld blood sea and activated the underworld reincarnation sword. The divine might of reincarnation burst out and shackled an area of 100 miles, forming a reincarnation force. It wasn't just the sea of blood formed by the blood demon. Even the demon emperors, gluttonous demons, and golem puppets that were charging towards Su Fong couldn't escape from the divine might of reincarnation. In the end, only a few demon emperors escaped. 2 demon emperors and all the gluttonous demons and golem puppets were swept into the underworld blood sea. Underworld blood sea, Black Lotus true form. Su Fong kept activating the underworld blood sea's devouring ability. At the same time, he also used the Black Lotus true form's ability. Strands of black blood appeared in the sea of blood like rolling heads. It was a terrifying scene. The essence of the demon emperors and gluttonous demons that were devoured by the sea of blood was quickly converted into life force and vital energy by the underworld blood sea and the Black Lotus true form's ability to replenish Su Fong's consumption. Gui, come out. In the depths of the underworld blood sea, black blood surged and quickly spread throughout the entire underworld blood sea. It turned out that Su Fong had released Gui, who also turned into blood and devoured all the demon chi and demonic poisons that Su Fong couldn't assimilate. The blood demon true demon could devour any kind of demon chi and demonic poisons. In this aspect, Su Fong couldn't compare. As for the golem puppets that the underworld blood sea couldn't corrode, they were shackled by Su Fong's divine might of reincarnation and directly stored into the void dust cauldron. After recondensing into a physical state, Su Fong's previous consumption was completely replenished. He had recovered to his peak state, and even his cultivation had improved a little. The combination of the underworld blood sea and the mature Black Lotus true form gave Su Fong an unparalleled recovery ability. The third demon god nail. Su Fong pulled out another demonic god nail and stored it in the primordial chaos holy mirror. == download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1439. A peerless great devil awakened Su Fong had displayed shocking strength, killing several devil sovereigns and countless devil experts. He even pulled out 3 nether god devil spikes, shocking devil venerable Monsi greatly. AP, this person is so young. It's said that he has only cultivated for 2,000 years, but his strength is comparable to an immortal venerable expert. Originally, I wanted to lure this person and the immortal Tao experts out of the world's barrier and kill them all in one fell swoop. I didn't expect the situation to turn out like this. Could it be that I have to use my final trump card? As demon sovereign money, she used his demon race's transcendent supernatural powers to deal with the immortal and demonic monsters. He looked at Su Fong, his eyes filled with a cold, killing intent. However, he hesitated. It was clear that using his final method was a taboo. At this moment, a miserable shriek came from afar, followed by Dugamujin's exhilarated howl. It turned out that Dugamujian had used the twin swords of annihilation to shatter Scarlet Nightmare Devil Emperor's heart with the help of the giant gluttonous Devil Emperor. After that, his head exploded, and his corpse was swallowed by the giant gluttonous Devil Emperor. After getting his revenge, Dugamujian could finally vent his hatred. He was so excited that tears flowed down his cheeks. Scarlet Nightmare. How dare you kill Scarlet Nightmare? Mansur's voice was filled with shock and anger. There was even a hint of fear in it. The entire devil army's attacks slowed down. They all looked over with shock and disbelief. Why was this happening? Not only was Scarlet Nightmare Devil Emperor powerful, his identity was also extraordinary. He was a member of the royal family of the devil race. Due to the low reproduction rate of the devil race, the number of royal family members was even rarer. Every royal family member was incomparably noble. This was also the reason why Scarlet Nightmare Devil Emperor could possess the Hidden Path Devil Mirror and allow a devil venerable expert to cross the boundary to protect him. The hierarchy of the devil race was very strict. Now that a royal family member had fallen, every devil present, including Devil Venerable Monsi, wouldn't be able to escape punishment. Since you killed a royal family member of the devil race, all of you must die. Devil Venerable Monsi no longer hesitated. He used all his strength to unleash the great barbarian devil palm, forcing the monsters to retreat. Then, a devil puppet appeared in his palm. Ka ka ka. A layer of blood-red rock-like outer wall on the golem's body cracked, revealing a heavenly demon. Unlike the other devils, this heavenly devil was short, even shorter than the average human cultivator. Its eyes were closed, and its aura was completely absent. It was like the corpse of a devil expert who had died many years ago. This is, for Demon Venerable Mansur to take out such a thing, it must be his strongest trump card. Su Fong didn't dare to be careless. He immediately used his perfection boundary ability to sense the devil corpse. From the demonic corpse, Su Fong sensed that within the deathly stillness, there was an incomparably majestic power of the demon race, as well as an incomparably powerful consciousness that seemed to be in deep slumber. Once fully awakened, he would become an incomparably terrifying, peerless demon. Demon Sovereign Monsi shot out another blood-red ball of energy. It wriggled like a living creature, strange and sinister. There were strands of black shadows lingering within it, exuding an evil aura and abundant life force. Ancestral Fiend, awaken. Demon Sovereign Monsi smashed the ball of blood on the demonic corpse, then chanted a strange incantation of the demon race. The demonic corpse was like a sponge, instantly absorbing the blood. The demonic corpse suddenly opened its eyes, and devilish light burst out from its deep pupils. Puff, puff, puff. The demon race army that was 100 miles away was swept by the devilish light shot out from the demonic corpse's eyes. Immediately, more than 100 demon race soldiers were shattered and turned into a pool of blood. Roar immediately after, the demonic corpse let out a furious roar towards the sky. The roar soared into the sky, causing the weather to change. Even the 5 divine suns suddenly dimmed. An evil and violent aura burst out from the demonic corpse, sweeping out in all directions and setting off waves of wind. What a terrifying demonic corpse! Su Fong judged from its aura that the demonic corpse's strength was slightly higher than Demon Sovereign Monsi's. It was probably only slightly weaker than Immortal Lady Frozen Dream. At this moment, a disbelieving voice came from the blood jade in Luo's body. This is impossible. This devil can't still be alive in this world. Su Fong asked in astonishment. Luo, could it be that you recognize this demonic corpse? This is not a demonic corpse, but a living demon race expert. The peerless demon race expert I told you about before. Demon Sovereign Barbarian God equals N_1. Demon Sovereign Barbarian God. Su Fong sucked in a breath of cold air, and a layer of cold sweat seeped out of his back. Demon Sovereign Barbarian God. He was a peerless devil of the demon world. During the great war of immortals and demons, he once killed his way into the righteous Dao world alone. It was unknown how many immortal Dao experts fell in his hands. Demon sovereign barbarian god was most proficient in the demon race's peerless divine ability, Great Barbarian Devil God Palm. It was said that when he used the Great Barbarian Devil God Palm, he almost destroyed a great world. He was definitely a peak expert of the demon race. Such a powerful, peerless great demon was actually still alive. If he was really as powerful as Luo said, not to mention this immortal domain, even in the entire great world, how many people could contend against him? No, Luo, demon sovereign barbarian god strength, is not as powerful as he said. This discovery made Su Fong heave a sigh of relief, and he asked Luo in astonishment. Demon sovereign barbarian god should have used the demon race's forbidden technique, hibernation technique. It is different from the other demon race experts' planning techniques. This hibernation technique is to put the physical body, primordial spirit, and consciousness in a state of deep sleep and continuously use the essence and blood of cultivators and big goblin to nourish the physical body, so that the physical body is indestructible. What an evil demon race forbidden technique. Su Fong's scalp tingled. Demon sovereign barbarian god had existed for tens of millions of years and continuously used the essence and blood of cultivators and big goblin to nourish the physical body. How many cultivators and big goblin did he have to kill? Evil? There is something even more evil. Using the hibernation technique, in order to keep the primordial spirit from dying, he has to constantly devour the souls of newborn human babies because these souls are pure and flawless. How many human babies do you think demon sovereign barbarian god has devoured? All of the demon race should be killed. Su Fong's eyes shot out sharp killing intent. Luo reminded, you should quickly think of a way to solve the current predicament. It seems like demon sovereign barbarian god is still holding back. He hasn't completely awakened demon sovereign barbarian god. Currently, demon sovereign barbarian god only has the strength of a mid-stage immortal venerable. Clearly, he has to pay a great price to completely awaken demon sovereign barbarian god. But even so, it is enough for you to deal with. Asterisk Hong Hong Hong. Asterisk demon sovereign barbarian god, who had just been awakened, took a step forward, arrived in front of the immortal demon monster, and threw out a punch. The immortal demon monster channeled the power of the yin-yang immortal demon and clashed with demon sovereign barbarian god, causing an earth-shattering explosion that set off a shockwave in all directions. Even the world barrier of the Star River below was violently impacted. Asterisk puff. Asterisk after exchanging over 1,000 punches with demon sovereign barbarian god, the immortal demon monster's chest was hit by demon sovereign barbarian god's punch. It spurted out a mouthful of blood and was sent flying like a kite with a string. Demon sovereign barbarian god wanted to continue his pursuit, but was stopped by demon sovereign barbarian god. Ancestral fiend first lock the 9 nether fiend god nails in the immortal Tao great world and control the overall situation. Then attack Su Fong. The other human cultivators are not a concern. Leave them to this junior and the demon race army. Demon sovereign barbarian god didn't say anything and went straight for one of the 9 nether fiend god nails. At the next moment, demon sovereign barbarian god unleashed a violent aura, causing hundreds of immortal Tao cultivators who were surrounded by the demon race army to stagger. Those with lower cultivation were directly shattered into pieces and turned into meat paste. Hundreds of nearby immortal Tao cultivators were also directly killed by the shockwave. One of the leading immortal emperors was directly rammed into by devil venerable barbarian god's body. The bloody horn on his right shoulder pierced through the chest of this immortal emperor expert, instantly sucking his blood essence dry. His body turned into a dried corpse that hung on devil venerable barbarian god's body, looking extremely terrifying. What a powerful, peerless great demon. Even immortal emperors were like weak chickens in front of him. Immediately after, demon sovereign barbarian god struck out a shocking hand seal that erupted with a terrifying aura that could overturn the world. A huge palm of 100 feet landed on the 9 nether fiend god nail. Boom! The void trembled, and the 9 nether fiend god nail was forcefully slapped into the void. In an instant, a grayish-black aura with a trace of demonic chi spread out in all directions and swept out. An evil energy quickly merged with nature, and the heavenly Tao laws were also changed. Other than Su Fong, the immortal fiend monster, Dugamujian, and other cultivators were not born in this immortal domain. The other immortal Tao cultivators all felt an evil energy that they could not resist or break free from enveloping them. Their life aura was fading rapidly and turned into a faint black aura that dissipated. Moreover, their cultivation realm also dropped by more than 10%, including the square heaven great world and the galaxy below, and even in the other great worlds that were far away. All living beings' life aura was fading rapidly and turned into demonic chi that dissipated into nature. In just a moment, every corner of this immortal domain was covered by a faint layer of demonic chi. The spiritual chi and life aura of heaven and earth that were originally affected by the changes in heaven and earth became thinner again. Demon sovereign barbarian god flew across the sky again and came to the side of a 9 nether fiend god nail. He used the demon race's divine ability and shot it into the void. The scene just now repeated itself. The life aura of the immortal Tao cultivators was fading rapidly, and the demonic chi emitted from their bodies became denser. Their cultivation realm dropped by another 10%. In the sky above the galaxy, the immortal Tao cultivators who were engaged in an intense battle with the demon race were all in despair. Kill. No one gave up. They burned their vital chi, life aura, and even self-detonated their cultivation realm, physical body, and Tao artifacts to attack the 9 nether fiend god nail and stop demon sovereign barbarian god. The cultivators, big goblin, and common people in the great worlds were in complete despair. The only thing they could do was to kneel down and pray to the heavens to give them a chance of survival. However, the heavenly Tao was heartless. Why would it care about the life and death of these ants? The heavenly Tao is heartless. However, I cannot be heartless. Then, let me go completely crazy for once. Su Fong's cold eyes were burning with a crazy flame. Things had developed to this stage. It was either you die or I die in the battle with the demon race. Kill. Kill. Any schemes and tricks would be completely useless. They had also given up on all their selfishness and schemes. The only thing they could do was to kill crazily and use their blood and lives to fight for a chance of survival for this immortal domain. =_ our download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1440. Whoosh, Su Fong's eyes flashed with determination as he charged towards one of the 9 netherworld godly devil spikes. AP with his strength and a Tao artifact, he might have a chance to stop Barbarian God if he went all out. However, it would be useless. Even if he killed Barbarian God, it wouldn't change the outcome. The only way was to pull out 2 more 9 netherworld godly devil spikes. That way, there would at least be a chance to salvage the situation. Su Fong, this seat has invited the ancestral fiend, yet you still want to resist? Obediently accept your death. This seat will let you taste every torture of the demon race. Barbarian God, Sovereign laughed sinisterly as he pounced towards Su Fong, who knew that at this moment, a figure would appear. It was an immortal fiend monster. What a powerful monster! When did such a powerhouse appear in the immortal domain? After being hit by Barbarian God Sovereign's great barbarian demon god palm, the immortal fiend monster's chest caved in. Despite being heavily injured, it didn't seem to feel anything. It was still extremely powerful, shocking Barbarian God Sovereign. The immortal fiend monster activated the power of the Yin-Yang immortal fiend. At the same time, it released the power of its primordial spirit to entangle Barbarian God Sovereign. Dugamujian also activated the twin swords of annihilation and charged towards Barbarian God Sovereign. Although there was a huge gap between his cultivation realm and Barbarian God Sovereign's, the twin swords of annihilation were still one of the 10 great Tao artifacts. It caused quite a bit of trouble for Barbarian God Sovereign. Su Fong took the opportunity to arrive in front of one of the 9 netherworld godly devil spikes. He controlled the Sword River and defeated the hundreds of demon race experts who were trying to activate the 9 netherworld godly devil spikes. Just as he was about to pull out the 9 netherworld godly devil spikes, monstrous demonic chi descended and formed a shackle that shrouded Su Fong. In the next moment, barbarian god Sovereign stepped forward step by step. His body expanded rapidly. When he arrived in front of Su Fong, he had transformed into a huge heavenly demon that was more than 500 feet tall. It was ferocious and terrifying, and its aura shook the heavens. Giant diamond body. After forming a seal, Su Fong's body released surging yin-yang true chi that was filled with divinity. The shackles of magic power around him shattered layer by layer. Su Fong's true energy and power, the true energy of immortals, devil energy, and demon energy, were nothing in the face of the power of yin and yang. This wasn't the power of a major world, but rather the power of gods from all the heavens and myriad worlds that could unleash the boundless might of gods. Pa-pa-pa. Su Fong's body flickered with a dazzling golden light. His muscles and bones instantly expanded, and a set of robes covered with mysterious golden Dao marks appeared around his body. Finally, he turned into a giant that was nearly 100 meters tall. At this moment, Su Fong was like a supreme god of war, majestic and awe-inspiring. God, demon, venerable, barbaric god's voice sounded like it came from ancient times. His deathly still eyes were filled with shock and fear. Kill! In the next moment, demon, venerable, barbarian god struck out with a huge palm print. It was the demon race's supreme, divine ability, great barbarian demon god palm. Clang! Su Fong separated his hands and struck out 2 golden palm imprints that were 60 to 70 feet in size. Divine might erupted and clashed with demon, venerable barbarian god's great barbarian demon god palm. Boom, boom, boom. It caused an earth-shattering explosion that shook the sky. The immortal Dao cultivators and the demon race who were fighting above the galaxy were swept up by the energy shockwave formed by the huge explosion. All of them could not stand steadily and were undulating like wheat waves. Those who were slightly closer to the explosion directly vomited blood. Under such a collision, demon, venerable barbarian god's divine ability palm imprint was shattered. Even he was sent flying. After the 9 Yang 9 transformations reached the 4th transformation, the power of the Herculean divine palm was actually this terrifying. Rise! Su Fong maintained his giant diamond body state and reached out his hand to grab the demon god nail. Die! Demon, venerable barbarian god let out a cold and stern voice. After forming a seal, the power of heaven and earth seemed to gather in his palm. Then he struck out a huge black palm imprint that was thousands of feet in size. Such a shocking palm could destroy a huge immortal city. It seemed like it could even create a huge hole in the sky. Compared to the huge palm imprint, Su Fong was as small as an ant. Indestructible golden body. Su Fong gritted his teeth and formed another seal. Instantly, countless golden imprints appeared on his golden Taoist robe. It was the indestructible golden body that specialized in defense. Ignoring demon, venerable barbarian god's attack, Su Fong forcefully pulled out the 9 netherworld demon god nail and stored it in the origin sacred mirror. Boom! Su Fong's body was sent flying like a cannonball, as if he had been hit by the demon god's hand. He rolled for thousands of miles before stabilizing his body. After spitting out a mouthful of dark red blood, the indestructible golden body and golden Taoist robe on Su Fong's skin shattered layer by layer. He could no longer maintain his giant diamond body state and return to his normal state. His face was pale, and he was panting heavily. It was unknown how many of his flesh, meridians, and bones had been broken. In order to pull out the 9 netherworld demon god nail, not only did Su Fong consume most of his yang qi, but he was also heavily injured by demon, venerable barbarian god's full-powered great barbarian demon god palm. If it wasn't for the indestructible golden body's astonishing defensive ability and the black lotus true body's maturation, the black lotus blood threads that covered Su Fong's flesh and meridians, to form an incomparably strong defense. Demon Venerable Barbarian God's great barbarian demon god Palm would have taken his life. Demon Venerable Barbarian God's full-powered attack was simply too terrifying. Su Fong took out a divine essence pill without hesitation and swallowed it. Then, the sound of blood flowing and rolling could be heard from his body. At this moment, the yellow spring blood sea, black lotus blood threads, dragon subduing true body, and nightmare chi all burned, melting the medicinal efficacy of the divine essence pill and turning it into the flame of life that swept and roared in his body. After 5 to 6 breaths, Su Fong's body once again condensed into a physical state. His flesh, meridians, and bones had almost recovered from the serious injuries. His physical body had reached the great perfection realm, and he had the black lotus true body, dragon subduing true body, and blood transformation true body. In addition to the power of the yellow spring blood sea, Su Fong had an incomparably astonishing recovery ability. Even when he was on the verge of serious injuries, he could still recover in an instant. However, the Yang Qi in his Yang Meridian couldn't recover in a short period of time because he had used the great transformation Vajra body, indestructible divine palm, and indestructible golden body. Human, you are very extraordinary, very extraordinary. I have lived for countless years, but this is the first time I have seen a human cultivator with such a life force. I have never even seen someone like you in the devil race. Sensing Su Fong's life force, Demon Venerable Barbarian God's incomparably deep eyes revealed a shocked expression. He spoke intermittently, as if he hadn't woken up yet. In the next second, Demon Venerable Barbarian God's eyes suddenly lit up with an incomparably greedy and evil light. His voice also became excited. After devouring you, I won't have to constantly fall into a dormant state. I will completely recover my former strength. As soon as his voice fell, Demon Venerable Barbarian God took a step forward. He executed the devil race's strange technique, Divine Ghost Heavenly Devil Movement Technique, and charged towards Su Fong again. Blood transformation true body, natal state. An evil flame surged out from Su Fong's body. Then, some blood marks appeared on his body. 2 overbearing, sharp, and sturdy blood horns suddenly spurted out from the lower part of his shoulders. Blood transformation true body. Berserk blood transformation. Human cultivator. You are actually using my devil race's cultivation technique. Aren't you afraid of falling into the devil Tao? Demon Venerable Barbarian God was very surprised. However, Su Fong activated his blood transformation true body and black lotus true body at the same time. His will was incomparably clear, and his Tao heart was also as sturdy as a mountain. Under the blood transformation state, Su Fong unleashed his natal divine might. He gathered the power of millions of true Dragon Realm cultivators and the big goblin in his body through the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda and started a fierce battle with Demon Venerable Barbarian God. However, the gap between him and Demon Venerable Barbarian God was too big. Even if he activated his blood transformation ability and natal state, it was still difficult for him to fight against such a powerful, immortal, venerable expert. He lasted for more than 10 breaths and was soon heavily injured again. Whoosh! Su Fong suddenly turned around and charged into the Devil Race army. He turned into a sea of blood and engulfed thousands of Devil Race cultivators. He swallowed their bodies and used them to quickly recover his life force. Human ant, you have angered me. Demon Venerable Barbarian God said indifferently. Demon Venerable Barbaric God said indifferently. He suddenly spread his arms and released burning devilish fiendish aura from his body, transforming into a vast devilish fiendish energy space that crushed towards Su Fong. World Seed, Ethereal Primordial Realm equals N_1! Su Fong dispelled his blood transformation true body and natal state. He fully activated the power of the World Seed and cooperated with the Ethereal Primordial Realm to resist Demon Venerable Barbarian God shackles. Although Su Fong could only protect himself and was unable to fight against Demon Venerable Barbarian God, Demon Venerable Barbarian God was also entangled by Su Fong and could not escape. Lord Ancestral Fiend, hand Su Fong to the army. Go and activate the 9 Netherworld Fiend God Nails. Demon Venerable Barbarian God originally thought that he could easily deal with all the immortal Dao cultivators after awakening the Ancestral Fiend. He did not expect that Su Fong, a dual Dao Sage Realm cultivator, will be able to hold Demon Venerable Barbarian God back by himself. He could not help but feel anxious. Leave this human cultivator's body to me. Demon Venerable Barbarian God suddenly turned around and charged toward a 9 Netherworld Fiend God Nail. The black mass of Devil Race army formed a group of 10,000 Devil Race cultivators. Their explosive aura and momentum were like one person. They formed a joint attack and jointly activated an astonishing power that surged towards Su Fong like a tide. The Grand Fusion Divine art originated from the ancient Devil Race army's joint attack formation. It was a peerless cultivation technique modified by an immortal Dao expert. The combined power of 10,000 Devil Race cultivators was comparable to a triple Dao Sage Realm cultivator. The Devil Race army besieging Su Fong numbered 3 million. It was equivalent to 300 immortal emperors besieging Su Fong. Even a peerless expert like Demon Venerable Barbarian God would have to avoid the attack. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Su Fong released resurrected cultivators one after another. In the blink of an eye, a vast sea of resurrected cultivators had formed in front of him. There were more than 5 million of them. These resurrected cultivators were neatly arranged in battle formations like an extremely disciplined army. They were completely different from the other crazy and evil resurrected cultivators. They were the 30 million resurrected cultivators that the undead monarch had devoured with the sky-concealing underworld coffin. Su Fong had selected them and used the method of creating the undead blood spirit to refine the corpse refinement puppet army by combining the blood-colored runes and immortal formations of the corpse refinement puppet army. Kill! Su Fong's voice was filled with murderous intent. The corpse refinement puppet army exploded with a torrential aura of death and killing intent. They strode forward and charged toward the Devil Race army. However, at this moment, Demon Venerable Barbarian God shot 2 Netherworld godly demon spikes into the void. The life force of all living beings in this immortal domain suddenly dissipated and burned into devil chi. All cultivators' cultivation levels fell by more than 40%. Divine light flashed in Su Fong's eyes and landed on the last 9 Netherworld godly demon spike. The last 9 Netherworld godly demon spike was constantly being activated by a group of Devil Race experts with devil chi. Only the tip of the spike was left outside. Demon Venerable Barbarian God also appeared next to the last godly demon spike. If the last 9 Netherworld godly demon spike was also pierced into the void, its power would be unleashed. The great world would be doomed. Oh no! Divine light flashed in Su Fong's eyes as he charged toward the last godly demon spike. At the same time, Su Fong flipped his hand and took out the Xinming Thunder Archive. He chanted the Thunder of Destiny Dao runes with his primordial spirit and activated the Xinming Thunder Archive. =_ our download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1441. Defeat on the verge of success in ethereal and formless energy locked onto Demon Venerable Barbarian God. Small, even with his supreme strength, he could feel a fatal threat. His action of inserting the 5th 9 Nether God Devil Nail into the void slowed down. Profound Underworld Lightning Archive. Demon Venerable Barbarian God's deep eyes were filled with disbelief. His deep eyes were also filled with fear and trepidation. It turned out that this peerless great demon also recognized the famous peerless Dao artifact. The power of lightning was the most domineering and destructive power in the world. It was the most fatal threat to the evil Dao, Demon Dao, and Demon Dao. Although Demon Venerable Barbarian God was extremely powerful, he also had a strong feeling that once the profound Underworld Lightning Archive was activated, he would be turned into ashes. What made demon Venerable Barbarian God especially fearful was that after being locked onto by the lightning of destiny, he instantly thought of countless divine abilities. There was no way he could escape this attack. The only thing he could do was to defend. Heavenly Brahma 9 Demon Transformation. Demon Venerable Barbarian God shouted. Demonic light flickered on his body and condensed into 3 illusory figures. Their faces were ferocious and terrifying. Their demonic aura was vast and mighty, as if a demon god had descended. Just as Demon Venerable Barbarian God released the peerless demon divine ability, the profound underworld lightning archive was activated by Su Fong. A surge of lightning divine aura surged out. Dazzling white lightning exploded and covered all the light in the world. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Demon Venerable Barbarian God's eyes were filled with extreme shock. The 3 illusory figures around him overlapped with his body. In a flash, the lightning was like a monster that swallowed Demon Venerable Barbarian God. Rumble. The sound of thunder shook the heavens. The void trembled under the lightning divine aura. The demon race had an innate fear of lightning. All of them trembled in fear under this shocking lightning technique. Demon Venerable Barbarian God's body was destroyed by the lightning. Then, a new body quickly condensed. After being destroyed 3 times in a row, Demon Venerable Barbarian God's original body was revealed. The power of the profound underworld lightning archive was also completely depleted. This was the power of the heavenly Brahma 9 demon transformation. After using it, it could destroy the body demon Venerable Barbarian God's domain, while the demon Venerable Barbarian God's original Barbarian God. Since Demon Venerable Barbaric God had yet to fully awaken, he could only activate 3 devil bodies to protect himself. Using this kind of heaven-defying demonic art naturally had serious aftereffects. Although Demon Venerable Barbaric God managed to defend against the profound underworld lightning scroll's shocking attack, his vitality was greatly damaged, and he might even fall into eternal hibernation. The price he had to pay was extremely heavy. To be able to kill a peerless great devil like Devil Venerable Barbaric God 3 times in a row, it could be seen how powerful Su Fong's Purple Cloud Dharma Spirit was when it fully activated the profound underworld lightning scroll. However, the 9 netherworld god demon nail didn't budge under the divine might of the Xianming lightning archive. Even the surrounding space didn't ripple at all. The 9 netherworld god demon nail was a god-grade demonic artifact, and it wasn't something that the Xianming lightning archive could shake. Human cultivator, prepare to suffer my wrath. Demon Venerable Barbaric God roared like an ancient ferocious beast. Pung! Demon Venerable Barbaric God struck out with the great barbaric demon god palm and forcefully nailed the 5th 9 netherworld god demon nail into the void. In an instant, the 5 god demon nails that were nailed into the void faintly connected together. They were unbreakable and formed an astonishing shackle that shrouded the galaxy below. An evil force quickly covered the entire immortal domain. Although all the living beings in the Great World were separated by the Great World Barrier and weakened the power of the 9 netherworld god demon nail, they still couldn't avoid the rapid loss of their life force. Countless people rapidly aged and died. First, it was the elderly, then the middle-aged, and finally, even the young people turned into white-haired old men in a short period of time. The life force of the cultivators and great yaos was incinerated into demonic chi. Their cultivation bases fell at an astonishing rate, falling to less than half of their previous strength. Only then did they barely manage to stop their fall. However, the loss of their life force was unstoppable. The forests, birds, beasts, and other living beings on the Great World were rapidly dying. The Great World was covered in a layer of gray. The only ones who weren't affected were the cultivators who ascended from the small world, the big goblin, and the cultivators from the other immortal domains. The 5 small worlds were spared because of this. But the natural spiritual chi of heaven and earth was affected by the evil force of the 9 netherworld god demon nail. Before long, no one in the 5 small worlds will be spared. Heavens, why are you so heartless? Do you really want to destroy the immortal Tao? Wails and cries filled with despair rang out from the various immortal realms in the starry river below. The immortal Tao cultivators who were fighting fiercely with the demons above all fell into despair. Some even gave up the battle. Is the heavens really going to die? Is the 3 realms really going to be destroyed? Dejection and defeat surged from the bottom of Su Fang's heart. Because he had used all his strength to activate the Xianming lightning seal, he had consumed 70 to 80% of his life force. At this time, he had become an old man in his 60s or 70s. His face was filled with dispiritedness and despair. At this time, Luo Bao thundered, "Su Fang, pull yourself together. You've done enough. At least you've taken away 4 of the 9 netherworld god-demon nails, causing the power of the 9 netherworld god-demon nails to decrease sharply. The 3 realms won't be destroyed in a short time. Why do you need to blame yourself?" Su Fang was hit in the head by a stick. Immediately his mind cleared up a bit equals and underscore, that's right. The heavens will always leave a way out. I don't believe that I can't find a chance to survive. Su Fang pulled himself together. Although he still looked pale, his eyes flashed with a hale and hearty light. It didn't matter if he fell. As long as he could continue to stand up, it wouldn't be considered a loss. Even if he lost completely in the end, as long as he used all his strength, he would have no regrets. Human cultivator, you're only a saint immortal cultivator. You actually forced me to use the devil race's forbidden technique. Your name is enough to leave a mark in the long history of the immortal Tao. However, with your cultivation, you're only left with 1 breath after activating the Xianming lightning seal. Let's see how you can escape from my evil clutches. I'll devour your body to make up for my loss. At this time, Devil Venerable Barbarian God laughed maniacally and attacked Su Fang aggressively. Devil Venerable Barbarian God had luckily survived the attack of the Xianming lightning seal with the help of the Devil Dao's peerless divine ability. However, because he had used the forbidden technique, he was at the end of his strength and was about to fall into a dormant state again. Devil Venerable Barbarian God hated Su Fang so much that he wanted to kill Su Fang regardless of the consequences. If I kill Devil Venerable Barbarian God, I can more or less win some breathing space for the 3 realms. Su Fang's eyes flashed with determination and viciousness. He wanted to vent his hatred on this peerless great devil. He waved his hand and shot out tens of thousands of poisonous runes. Then, he detonated them with his mind. In an instant, the area within 100 miles in front of him was filled with poisonous smoke. The smoke rolled and drifted, covering the sky and the sun. At the same time, he injected the devil-corroding poison into the poisonous smoke with the power of the world seed and the ethereal primordial realm. You want to stop me with just a mere poison? Devil Venerable Barbarian God burst out with a monstrous aura and rushed into the thick smoke. These poisons were created by Gui and were extremely poisonous. Moreover, there was also the devil-corroding poison that was specially used to restrain devil race cultivators. Although it couldn't kill Devil Venerable Barbarian God, it still caused him great trouble and stopped him for a moment. Then, Su Fang shot out runes created by the life shrinking technique. After activating them, everything about him, including his true chi, primordial spirit, aura, and so on, was covered. It was as if he had disappeared from the spot in an instant. I can't sense the existence of this human cultivator. What kind of heaven-defying divine ability is this? Devil Venerable Barbarian God was caught in the poisonous smoke and lost his sense of Su Fang. He was shocked. After a dozen breaths, Devil Venerable Barbarian God rushed out of the poisonous smoke. At this moment, Su Fang's cold voice filled with killing intent rang out. "Long Yao, kill him." It turned out that Su Fang shot out the poisonous runes and created runes with the life shrinking technique to cover his aura. It was just to create an opportunity for the dragon bird. 2 rays of resplendent golden light suddenly burst out from the dragon bird's eyes. They intertwined and condensed into a sun god arrow. The moment Devil Venerable Barbarian God appeared, it was immediately released. Whoosh! The sinister smile on devil venerable barbarian god's face instantly froze. Incomparable shock and fear surged in his eyes. The sun god Arrow could even threaten fairy frozen dream, who was in her peak state, let alone devil venerable barbarian god. He was not completely awakened at this moment. In addition to the huge exhaustion caused by the profound underworld lightning scroll, the sun god Arrow had a fatal restraining ability against all evil creatures. Its power had more than doubled. Devil venerable barbarian god was caught off guard and was unable to activate his defensive divine ability. The sun god Arrow shot out in a flash and hit his heart. The power penetrated his body, and a ray of golden light shot out from his back. Devil venerable barbarian god let out a painful howl like an injured ancient beast. His voice reverberated in all directions. All the devil cultivators stopped what they were doing and looked over. They were all dumbfounded and could not believe what they were seeing. Devil venerable barbarian god was a peak expert of the devil race. In the hearts of the devil cultivators, his position was second only to devil god. But now, he was on the verge of death. How could the devil race not be shocked? Chi. Devil venerable barbarian god continued to circulate his devil chi to wear down the divine power of the sun god Arrow. After being stimulated by the sun god Arrow, a part of devil venerable barbarian god's strength that had not been awakened was completely awakened. He finally wore down the divine power of the sun god Arrow. Human, if this venerable awakens again, I will definitely pull out your tendons and skin you alive. Devil venerable barbarian god took a step forward and appeared 10,000 miles away. This time, he had used up the last of his devil chi and immediately fell into a dormant state. His body was severely injured from inside out. If he wanted to awaken again, who knew how many tens of thousands of years it would take, and how many devil resources would be consumed? Ancestral devil venerable man, sure recklessly killed Dugamujian and the immortal and devil monsters. He tore through the air and arrived in front of devil venerable barbarian god. He put away the dormant devil venerable barbarian god. Huff, Su Fong let out a long breath. His body staggered, and he was almost unable to fly. Although he did not kill devil venerable barbarian god, he had lost his combat strength. Otherwise, under the attacks of two devil venerable experts, the great world would not even have a chance to breathe. He took out 2 divine essence pills and swallowed them. The 100 divine essence pills that he extorted from Feng Wuzi had been completely used up after so many years of consumption. He activated the yellow spring blood sea, the black lotus true body, the dragon subduing true body, and the blood transformation true body. He had used almost all of his life force recovery divine abilities. Su Fong's snow-white hair gradually turned white, then gray, and finally mottled white. His appearance also quickly returned to his 20s. Although he had not recovered to his peak, he had recovered his appearance. Witnessing this scene from afar, devil venerable man Shure's eyes revealed incomparable shock and horror. It was as if he had seen a ghost in broad daylight. "Let's go." Su Fong's majestic voice spread across the Star River with the help of the great world's divine power. =_ download address. Mobile reading. Bibliographic review. Chapter 1442. Whoosh Whoosh. Immortal monsters and Dugamujian arrived at Su Fong's side. However, old immortal Withered Rong and the other immortal emperors were besieged by the demonic army and couldn't escape. While Su Fong was fighting demon sovereign barbarian god, Su Fong's subordinates, as well as the other immortal Dao experts, were also engaged in a desperate battle with the demonic army. Among Su Fong's subordinates, the old palace lord of White Cloud Immortal Palace and the 8 immortal emperors who had joined Su Fong from the Great Qin immortal world had perished in this battle. Old immortal Withered Rong and old immortal Peng Hua were heavily injured. As for the crafty dead lord, he was nowhere to be seen when demon sovereign barbarian god appeared. Su Fong's army of 5 million corpse refinement puppets had also lost close to 2 million. The number of demonic soldiers that died at the hands of the corpse refinement puppets was roughly the same. Although the corpse refinement puppets weren't weak, the demonic army also possessed powerful combat strength that the immortal Tao cultivators didn't possess. Fortunately, the corpse refinement puppets were refined from resurrected cultivators. Even if they were all killed, Su Fong wouldn't feel too much heartache. He would just have to spend a lot of time and blood essence to refine them again. As for the other Immortal World experts, their cultivation had dropped due to the evil power of the ninth Netherworld god and Devil Spike. Less than half of them were left, while the rest were all injured. Currently, the immortal Tao cultivators were besieged by tens of millions of demonic soldiers. How could they possibly retreat? You want to leave? Leave them all behind. Demon's sovereign barbarian god sneered and issued a command filled with murderous intent. The 30 million demonic army and the demonic Tao cultivators who had joined the demonic army fiercely attacked the immortal Tao cultivators. A fierce battle was taking place above the galaxy. The immortal Tao cultivators were at an absolute disadvantage and were all in danger. Purple Cloud Dharma's Spirit. Su Fong activated the Purple Cloud Dharma Spirit with all his might. Boom! Purple cloud burst out of Su Fong's body and condensed into a 30-meter-wide purple cloud umbrella above his head. In an instant, Su Fong was like a proud son of heaven that was protected by the heavenly Tao, and all calamities and misfortune were unable to touch him. World Seed, Ethereal Primordial Realm, Supreme Emperor Divine Might. Su Fong activated the World Aura, the Ethereal Enlightenment, and the Supreme Emperor Aura at the same time. He extended the fortune granted to him by the Purple Chi Dharma Spirit in all directions, granting the cultivators protection. A complete Purple Chi Dharma Spirit. How astonishing would the supreme fate brought about by it be? Although the 9 Netherworld God Devil Spikes were supreme divine weapons, Su Fong had taken 4 of them. They were now incomplete and could not display their full power. With the help of the Purple Chi Dharma Spirit and the other divine powers, the evil power of the 9 Netherworld God Devil Spike and the disaster it brought to the outside world was temporarily suppressed. Even the tens of millions of demons were suppressed. Many cultivators of the immortal Tao felt as if they had received the protection of the heavenly Tao from the unseen world. None of the calamities could touch them. The despair, depression, and other negative emotions from before all disappeared without a trace equals N_R. Emperor Su, you're a god. The cultivators were instantly invigorated. They fought their way out of the encirclement and rushed towards Su Fong. Go and save them. Su Fong controlled the army of corpse refinery puppets. At the same time, he released his powerful subordinates, the Big Goblin, Li Haojia, and the Lord of 5 Poisons from the True Dragon Realm. Then, an elite army of 300,000 cultivators and junior commanders, 10 million origin cultivators from the Square Skies Great World, and nearly 5 million cultivators from the Great Qin Immortal Realm were released by Su Fong in an endless stream. They fought their way out in a grandiose manner. At this time, Su Fong displayed all of his trump cards. He did not seek to kill the demons, but to save the cultivators of the immortal Tao who were trapped in the encirclement. It was as if a monstrous torrent had suddenly rushed into the ocean. Caught off guard, the demon army was thrown into disarray, and the cultivators of the immortal Tao were rescued one after another. Emperor Su, don't worry about us. Retreat to the great world first. The life and death of this immortal realm are all in your hands. Even if I die, my name will still remain in the great world. I can die without regrets. Lord Sudi, please. Some of the cultivators of the immortal Tao, who were relatively far away, could not be saved by Su Fong's army. After a series of shouts, followed by a burst of laughter, they burned their golden cores and charged toward the surrounding demon army, then exploded with a loud bang. Su Fong closed his eyes in pain. Most of these cultivators of the immortal Tao had once been enemies with Su Fong and had tried to kill Su Fong before he rose to prominence. But now, in the battle of life and death between the two races, all personal interests had been abandoned. In the face of the great world's survival, the past grudges seemed so insignificant. Let's go. Su Fong suddenly opened his eyes. There was no longer a trace of hesitation or emotion in his eyes. He led the cultivators of the immortal Tao and the army to kill the star river below with unstoppable momentum. Kill. Take advantage of the situation and break into the great world. Demon Sovereign Monsi issued a cold order and led the demon army in pursuit. Whoosh, Su Fong suddenly rose into the sky and looked down at Demon Sovereign Monsi. He took out the Xianming Lightning Archive again and locked onto him with the Lightning of Destiny. How is this possible? He can still use the Xianming Lightning Archive. Demon Sovereign Monsi's heart palpitated as he quickly disappeared into the demon army. He had just witnessed the terrifying power of the Xianming Lightning Archive. Even Demon Sovereign Monsi, who was close to a demon god, had almost died. How could he not be afraid? The vast sea of devilish army was also trembling in fear, and they were retreating as a whole. Su Fong had single-handedly intimidated tens of millions of Devil Ray soldiers, including a peerless Devil Lord. The domineering aura of one man holding the pass, 10,000 men unable to get through, overflowed to the heavens. Only when the cultivator army had retreated into the world barrier did Su Fong calmly fly to the top of the world barrier and pass through the formation under the horrified gazes of tens of millions of demons. Su Fong, Demon Sovereign Monsi, gnashed his teeth. The demon army had suffered heavy losses this time. The demon army had lost tens of millions, most of which were elite demon cultivators and experts from the demon world. Demon Sovereign Crimson Nightmare had fallen. Demon Sovereign Monsi, who had been awakened, was also heavily injured. It would be difficult for him to wake up again. 4 of the 9 nether god devil spikes had been taken away and became incomplete. The one who had caused all this was a dual Dao Sage realm human cultivator. Such a thing had never happened in the history of the demon army. In the end, Su Fong had repelled the entire demon army by himself. Such an outcome could be said to be a crushing defeat. It was a great humiliation to the entire demon army. The only thing that comforted Demon Sovereign Monsi was that the 9 nether god devil spikes had finally sealed the outside world. Although their power had decreased greatly, they would sooner or later turn this immortal domain into a wasteland and become part of the demon world's territory. More importantly, the demon army would use this immortal domain as a springboard to deal a fatal blow to the immortal Dao world from the rear. It was obvious that they would obtain the final victory in this great war. Su Fong, you are just a trapped beast in a cage. Let's see how long you can struggle. Demon Sovereign Monsi's eyes shone with demonic light. He wished he could kill his way into the outside world. Su Fong. This name was deeply imprinted in the hearts of all demons. Demon cultivators were cruel and evil. Although they had been defeated many times in the Great War since ancient times, each of them was incomparably arrogant. They viewed immortal cultivators as lowly ants. However, at this moment, as long as they thought of the name Su Fong, the demon cultivators couldn't help but feel intense fear and trepidation in their hearts. Square, Heaven Great World. The surviving immortal cultivators gathered in the palace. After a fierce battle, more than half of the immortal cultivators had died. There were less than 30 immortal emperors left. It could be said to be extremely tragic. Although there were many cultivators left in the immortal world, they didn't suffer any losses. However, when faced with the demon army, they could only be slaughtered. Su Fong had also paid a heavy price for this. Nearly 10 immortal emperors had died. The immortal fiend monster, withered Rome, old immortal, and the others were all heavily injured. Especially the immortal fiend monster. Once he was injured, it would be very difficult for him to recover. His divine essence pills had also been used up. The corpse puppet army and the cultivator army had also suffered heavy losses. The only ones who weren't injured were probably the giant gluttonous demon and the undead lord. The giant gluttonous demon had devoured the Crimson Nightmare, Demon Emperor's corpse. After a period of fusion, his strength would definitely soar. The extremely cunning undead lord had devoured the life force of countless demon cultivators during the battle. When Demon Venerable Barbaric God appeared, he hid in the sky-shrouding nether coffin. Seeing that Su Fong had regained control of the situation, he returned to the great world with the other immortal cultivators. Demons had strong physical bodies and vigorous life force. The undead lord's cultivation realm had increased significantly because of this. However, because he had used the sky-shrouding nether coffin to conceal his aura, it was difficult to tell how much he had recovered. Suffering such heavy losses was still bearable. More importantly, the 9 underworld god devil spikes had already sealed off this immortal domain. The divine power of the god-level demonic weapon had enveloped the entire immortal domain. It was only a matter of time before it was completely destroyed. Everyone in the great hall fell silent. The entire great hall was shrouded in an atmosphere of despair. The square heaven great world and the other immortal domains had also fallen into despair. The heavens had collapsed and the earth had caved in. It was as if doomsday had arrived. Everyone, go back and recuperate. With me, Su Fong here, the heavens will not collapse, Su Fong said calmly. There was not a trace of pessimism in his voice. Everyone's spirits were lifted. Su Fong had almost killed demon venerable barbaric god and obtained 4 underworld god devil spikes. In the end, he had led the immortal cultivators back to the great world. It was not impossible for him to find a solution to their predicament. Su Fong had created one miracle after another. Why couldn't he create another one this time? Hope reignited in everyone's hearts. They left the great hall. Su Fong entered the true dragon world. The Green Feather Emperor, Bai Ling, the other big goblin, Li Haojia, and the Lord of 5 Poisons all gathered around. They knew Su Fong very well. They knew that what he had said to the experts of the 8 great worlds was just to comfort them. Once the god-level demonic weapon was activated, Su Fong would not be able to resolve it. There was a long silence. Bai Ling suddenly said, Su Fong, why don't we leave this immortal domain? No one can stop us. This was not a bad idea. The 5 small worlds were not affected by the 9 underworld god devil spikes. They only needed to transfer the cultivators and citizens of the small worlds to the true dragon world. With Su Fong's strength, it should not be difficult for him to kill his way out of the demon's encirclement. However, in this way, everything in the square heaven great world, as well as the other immortal worlds, would have to be abandoned. Let me think about it. Perhaps there is a better way to get out of this desperate situation. Su Fong waved his hand. When everyone left, Su Fong peeled off a young immortal and entered the bloody light cage in the blood jade deep in his body. Su Fong said, Luo, do you have any good ideas? Luo sighed and said, if I still had my strength and not just a primordial spirit, I would naturally have a solution. But now, =our download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1443. What a hopeless situation. Is this immortal domain really going to be destroyed? Su Fong's heart sank into a cold abyss. He felt bitter and helpless. AP Su Fong. Law's voice suddenly became serious. Law, what do you want to say? Although I can't help you, I can give you some advice. Law, I'm all ears. After a moment of silence, Law said slowly, there is no hopeless situation in the world. Although the heavenly Tao is ruthless, it is incomparably fair to everyone. When a door is closed, another door will be opened at the same time. This is also the cycle of the heavenly Tao. The so-called hopeless situation is just those incompetent and mediocre people who feel despair and pessimism because they can't get rid of the adversity. You have great luck, great perseverance, and great willpower. At the same time, you don't lack scheming or wisdom. The only thing you lack is the experience of facing great storms. The world is changing, and the calamity is coming. In the future, you don't know how much more dangerous and difficult adversity you will encounter now. If you don't have the ambition to go against the heavens, you will eventually become a mediocre person. Law's words shocked Su Fong. Law, thank you for your advice. Su Fong bowed deeply to Law. Looking at Law trapped in the bloody light cage, Su Fong felt ashamed. Law's body and Yuan's spirit were sealed separately. He didn't know how many years he had spent in the blood jade, living a life worse than death, but he still maintained optimism and never gave up hope. Compared to Law, he was still too far behind. At the same time, Su Fong felt lucky that he met Law. Otherwise, he didn't know how many detours he would have to take. After pondering for a long time, Su Fong's eyes lit up. He asked, "If I use the Origin's sacred mirror, can I subdue the 9 netherworld godly demon nails? When your yang energy is fully recovered, use that mirror divine artifact of yours. Maybe there's a slight possibility that you can subdue all the remaining 5/9 netherworld godly demon nails. However, I advise you not to do that." Why is that? First of all, with your current cultivation, it's hard to say whether you can use the mirror to subdue the 9 netherworld god devil spike. After all, it's a divine-level demonic tool. Although the mirror is extraordinary, it's hard for you to display its power. Moreover, you'd better not show the power of the divine artifact in front of the devil race until the last moment. Even if you can temporarily resolve the crisis, who knows how many experts the devil world will send out to hunt you down. Even the immortal Tao experts from other immortal domains won't let you go. There will be no place for you in the entire macro world. Law's words made Su Fong shudder. In the past, he had used the divine artifact in public. However, it was only used to deal with experts below the immortal venerable realm. Although the power it displayed was shocking, it wasn't enough to make people think that it was a peerless divine tool. At most, people would think that it was a royal grade Tao tool similar to the Xianming Lightning Archive. Even if it attracted the attention of experts, it wouldn't attract the attention of those powerful immortal venerables. If he used the Origin Sacred Mirror as a divine-level demonic tool, it would definitely attract the attention of the peak devil venerables of the devil world. Even the peerless immortal venerables of the immortal Tao wouldn't just stand by and watch. It was conceivable that they would seize the treasure. This path almost didn't work. It seems that I'll have to be careful when using the Origin Sacred Mirror in the future. Su Fong reminded himself, if it really doesn't work, you'll have to give up everything and leave this immortal domain. Let me think about it. After ending the conversation with Law, Su Fong fell silent. Whoosh! Su Fong, who had fallen silent, suddenly ejected a burst of tribulation chi from his body. It turned out that he had unknowingly broken through the peak of the 2nd Tao Saint Immortal Realm and was about to ascend to the 3rd Tao Saint Immortal Realm after consuming the Divine Origin pills and many devil race experts with the Netherblood Sea. An increase in cultivation was naturally a good thing. However, Su Fong could only smile bitterly. The joy of ascension couldn't wash away the enormous pressure in his heart. The tribulation chi quickly burned into tribulation fire. Su Fong turned into a flaming man. The flames burned over an astonishing range of nearly 100 feet. Next, Su Fong welcomed repeated attacks, breakthroughs, and transformations. Layers of impurities seeped out of his body and were instantly burned to ashes by the tribulation fire. Su Fong sat cross-legged in the blazing tribulation fire. The immense pain couldn't change the worry in his eyes. The tribulation fire burned for a month before extinguishing. A surge of ascension energy swept through his body. He checked the changes in his body. His body had become even more vast and powerful. In his Dantian, golden core, origin, divine aperture, and layers of flesh, there were 3 Tao seals of the laws of the 3 Tao Saint Immortal Realm. The 3 Tao Saint Immortal Realm. His entire body felt different. His primordial spirit, body, golden core, yang meridian, true fire, divine abilities, dermic powers, and dermic treasures had all undergone a transformation. Su Fong's appearance had also completely returned to the appearance of a 17 or 18-year-old. The life force he had consumed was completely replenished. Su Fong separated a blood clone and devoured fire elemental spiritual items in the True Dragon realm to cultivate the 9 yang 9 transformations to recover his yang energy. The other 5 blood clones cultivated other cultivation techniques and true bodies. The doppelganger that cultivated the Thunder Punishment true body was by Xuanxin Fairy's side. At this moment, Su Fong had formed a new doppelganger of blood and water to cultivate the cultivation methods and abhijna of the Devil tribe. Whether or not he could solve the predicament of the macro world, the war with the Devil tribe would become more and more intense. By cultivating the cultivation methods of the Devil tribe, he would be able to know himself and his enemy, which would increase his chances of defeating the enemy. Gui transformed into blood water and merged with the Yellow Spring Blood Sea to cultivate the Yellow Spring reincarnation technique. Long Niao was outside the true dragon realm, absorbing the yang energy of the 5 divine sons to recover the energy she had expended in the war. The immortal fiend monster was severely injured. It could only consume royal-grade pills to slowly recover. Whoosh! Su Fong flew out of the true dragon realm and came to the square heaven great world. Using the power of the great perfection stage and the power of the world to sense, he instantly saw everything that was happening in the square heaven great world. The 5 small worlds were in a normal state. Most of the leaders of the small worlds had condensed their immortal bodies and had gone to the Star Palace and the clear sky, 1,000 Scroll Door to cultivate. His father, family Su, and his close friend were all safe and sound. Su Fong felt a little more at ease. However, when he saw the constellation of 9 heavens, the clear sky, 1,000 Scroll Door, and the great world below, Su Fong's heart sank to the bottom. The earth continued to decline. Countless living beings died. Cultivators and civilians were also dying. Faint devil chi shrouded every corner, casting a huge shadow of death on the square heaven great world. Su Fong activated the power of the world again. Through the connected world barrier, he sensed the other immortal realms. Compared to the square heaven great world, the other immortal realms were no different from falling into hell on earth. The situation was 10 times worse than the square heaven great world. The aura of death and despair shrouded every immortal realm. At the same time, it also shrouded everyone's heart. It's easy to leave this immortal domain, but how can I just leave in such a situation? Cultivation was about cultivating the Tao heart. Abandoning the immortal realms and escaping from this immortal domain was not in line with Su Fong's original intentions. It would be a serious blow to his Tao heart. What should I do? What can I do? Should I really kill my way out of the world barrier and use the origin sacred mirror to nail the 9 serenity's demon god? Su Fong sat down cross-legged. His mind was spinning rapidly to find a way to save the great world. 10 days passed in the blink of an eye. A month passed. A year passed. The disaster of the great world was getting more and more intense. It was estimated that in at most 3 years, only cultivators above the heavenly immortal realm would be able to survive in the entire great world. During this period, the demon race launched several fierce attacks. With the help of the solid world barrier, the immortal Tao cultivators repelled the demon race again and again. For more than a year, Su Fong sat cross-legged on the ground motionlessly, trying to find a way out of this hopeless situation. Suddenly, Su Fong opened his eyes. Inside his pair of eyes, a terrifying divine light burst out equals in underscore R. Glancing at the square heaven great world, and then at the other immortal realms, Su Fong was puzzled. He asked Law in the depths of his body, why is the situation of the square heaven great world so different from the other immortal realms? Law did not realize this. After a long silence, he said slowly, Su Fong, you seem to have found a way to break it. That's right. Su Fong stood up in high spirits. We are all affected by the evil power of the 9 serenity's demon god. Why is the square heaven great world so different from the other immortal realms? The reason is simple. I devoured immortal Emperor Tian Ang's dragon Qi, causing the dragon-subduing wood to transform into the dragon-subduing real body. Then I dual cultivated with Xuan Xin, causing the auspicious omen of the dragon and phoenix, which fell on the square heaven great world. The entire square heaven great world thus received the luck brought by the dragon and phoenix. There is another more important reason. The purple Qi Dharma spirit gave me supreme luck, and I merged with the world origin of the square heaven great world. My supreme luck also blessed the square heaven great world. The square heaven great world has such luck so it is far less affected by the 9 Serenities demon god than the other immortal realms. The power of the 9 Serenities demon god is similar to the divine dragon curse of the dragon tribe and the tyrant mantra of the tranquility emperor. It is also a kind of curse power and belongs to the power of luck and faith. Therefore, my purple chi dharma spirit, emperor's aura, and life shrinking technique can resist the power of the 9 Serenities demon god. I only need to merge with the world origin of the immortal realms, and these immortal realms will be protected by my supreme luck. They can resist the power of the 9 Serenities demon god and delay their decline. Speaking of this, Su Fang's eyes flashed with a hale and hearty light. The next moment, Su Fang's deep eyes surged with ruthlessness and determination. I can also use the purple chi dharma spirit and the life shrinking technique to devour the power of the 9 Serenities demon god and demon god, just like how I devoured the luck of the sex on Celestial Demon Mountain. I can even devour the luck of the invading demon army, so that their luck will be depleted and they will return in defeat. Law reminded him, your purple chi dharma spirit is not perfect, and the life shrinking technique will cause a great loss to your life force. You can devour the luck of the sex on Celestial Demon Mountain, but to devour the luck of the demon army is very difficult. Why was that? Heaven and earth changed, and the evil sun rose to the sky. In fact, the heavenly Tao's luck was tilted to the side of the demon race and evil path. At this time, with the help of the changes in heaven and earth, the demon race's luck was at its peak. Su Fang rescued the immortal cultivators in the previous battle. Using the purple chi dharma spirit, he could temporarily suppress the demon army, but it was very difficult to devour their luck. Once he suffered a backlash, it would even affect Su Fang's own luck. No matter what, this is a way to solve a desperate situation. Even if I lose some luck, it's worth it. Su Fang said very decisively, and a clanging aura of being the strongest in the world arose spontaneously. =our download address. Mobile reading. Bibliographic review. Chapter 1444. Lords of the various immortal realms have come to see me. The majestic voice of Su Fang, through the divine power of the world, spread to all the immortal realms in the square heaven world and the surrounding galaxies. For Emperor Su to summon me, could it be that he has found a way to resolve his predicament? What kind of peerless figure is Emperor Su? He definitely has a way to get the great world out of this predicament. I heard that the 9 Serenities' godly demon nail is a divine weapon. I'm afraid even Emperor Su can't find a way to deal with it. The rulers of the immortal realms, the cultivators, and the people have been struggling in the abyss of despair for more than a year. Witnessing the decline of the immortal world day by day, and witnessing the deaths of their loved ones and friends, they'd long since lost all hope and became numb. Suddenly hearing Su Fang's call was like suddenly seeing a ray of light in a dark night. Suddenly, a glimmer of hope was ignited from the abyss of despair. However, there were also some people who didn't have any hope for Su Fang. Even the pinnacle powerhouses of the great world would find it difficult to destroy the evil divine tool of the demon race. How could Su Fang do it? In the main hall, Su Fang saw that the lords of the immortal realms had aged and weakened, and their cultivation levels had fallen to rock bottom. He also saw Xianin Tian. His face was ashen, like an old man with one foot in the grave. If Xianin Tian was so severely affected in the square heaven great world, one could imagine how the experts of the other immortal realms would fare. Seeing Xianin Tian like this, Su Fang thought of something and his heart sank. The 9 netherworld god-fiend spikes sealed off the immortal realm. Any cultivator born in this realm would have their life force devoured. Fairy Xuanqin had left this celestial realm long ago. However, she was also born in this celestial realm. Would she also be affected by the 9 underworlds god-devil spike? Su Fang got a definite answer from Luo. Although Fairy Xuanqin wasn't in this immortal realm, she couldn't escape the same fate as everyone else. However, she was currently far away from this immortal region. She was dual cultivating with Su Fang, and Fairy Xuanqin had also obtained Su Fang's great luck. Coupled with the Ice Phoenix's true body, The 9 underworld's god and devil spikes had very little effect on her. It was not enough to threaten her life, but it would affect her future cultivation and even her life. Su Fong's deep eyes flashed with determination. There was no longer any hesitation in his heart. Su Fong said majestically, "Gentlemen, I've found a way that might be able to alleviate our current predicament. However, I need to fuse with the world origin of each immortal realm." The hall fell silent. If Su Fong could fuse with the world origins, it would mean that every immortal realm would fall under his control. At that time, he would be the one and only ruler of this immortal realm. "If you don't agree, then forget it," Su Fong said lightly. Taking over other people's immortal realms was tantamount to snatching food from a tiger's mouth. No one would easily agree to such a thing. Renjin Manor is willing to listen to Emperor Su's orders. It was Immortal Master Lang Shao who suddenly spoke. Another immortal emperor stood up and cupped his fists. "Emperor Su, please don't misunderstand. It's not that we don't want a hand over the immortal realms. When it comes to life and death, what's the use of controlling the immortal realms that are about to be destroyed? It's just that Emperor Su's idea is too shocking. We think it's a little," Su Fong said with a smile. "You think my idea is a little naive, don't you? Without hundreds of thousands of years, or even millions of years, it would be impossible to fuse an immortal realm. How long would it take to fuse over 100 immortal realms? By the time Su Fong finished fusing with all the immortal realms, this immortal region would have turned into a wasteland." At this time, the old man in a thunderous robe from the Great Qin immortal realm said, "You don't have to worry about this. Back then, Master only took a dozen days to fuse with the Great Qin immortal realm." As soon as these words came out, everyone was shocked. They were amazed by Su Fong. Su Fong said indifferently, "Have you all forgotten about the true ethereal enlightenment?" Everyone thought of the matter that caused a great uproar back then and suddenly understood. The matter was settled just like that. Asterisk, 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 Immortal Moon Palace. The Immortal Moon Palace used to be the realm lord of the great world of Shuiyu. After the upheaval, they had no choice but to abandon the great world they were in and only moved one immortal realm to the vicinity of the great world of Fengtian. At this time, the upper echelons of the Immortal Moon Palace were gathered in a secret realm. Looking at the barrier above, they were all filled with anticipation and some doubts. Whoosh! A figure passed through the formation and appeared in the sky above the secret realm. It was Su Fong, who had come to fuse with the Immortal Moon Palace's world origin. "He's here." The old palace master of the Immortal Moon Palace, dressed in a snowy robe, hurriedly led the upper echelons to greet him. "Greetings, Emperor Su." Everyone cupped their fists and bowed. Their expressions were full of reverence and incomparable hope. Su Fong waved his hand. Then his eyes swept across the crowd and finally landed on a young cultivator with an outstanding temperament. Su Fong raised his eyebrows. "Young Master Shuiyu?" "Young Master Shuiyu greets Emperor Su." This person was young Master Shuiyu, who had once provoked Su Fong in the clear sky, Thousand Scroll Door. At this time, young Master Shuiyu's handsome face no longer had the arrogance from before. Instead, he looked like he was trembling. Back then, he was one of the 10 great young masters whose name shook the world, while Su Fong was a disciple of the lowly Huangfu Dojo of the Star Palace. He was just lucky that a toad ate a swan's meat. 1,000 years had passed, and the 10 great young masters had become a thing of the past. No one remembered them anymore. As for the toad from back then, he had become the absolute ruler of this immortal region. Everyone's safety rested on his shoulders equals and underscore one. With such a gap, how could young Master Shuiyu not be in awe? He was even terrified, afraid that Su Fong would pursue his rudeness back then. 3 realms of immortal realm? As one of the 10 great young masters, young Master Shuiyu's talent is indeed extraordinary. Su Fong nodded and then took out a storage ring. There were 1,000 supreme-grade, yin-yang, immortal sky elixirs inside. Ignoring young Master Shuiyu, Su Fong said to the Immortal Moon Palace Master, "Let's go." Swoosh! 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 Everyone clustered around Su Fong and went straight to the Immortal Moon Palace's World Source Seal. Looking at Su Fong's back, young Master Shui was upset. World Source Seal, come out. Su Fong activated the power of the World Seed and used the ethereal myriad spell, Dao, to slowly communicate with the Immortal Moon Palace's World Source Seal. Half a day later, the Immortal Moon Palace's World Source Seal was awakened from its static state by Su Fong's ethereal myriad spell, Dao. Streaks of starlight broke through the World Seal and broke out from the depths of the secret realm. They gathered in the air and condensed into bright stars, forming an extremely deep galaxy. Activating the World Seed to absorb the pure power of the World Source Seal, the Heaven and Earth Tao Palace in his body became even more vast and deep, filled with the world's divine might. The lotus-like World Seed gradually changed. It became more plump, and its speed of rotation also increased slightly. Although the change wasn't very obvious, the World Seed was very difficult to cultivate. Even the slightest change was a metamorphosis. Su Fong didn't dare to wantonly absorb the World Source Seal. That would only make things worse for the Immortal Moon Palace. Instead, he used the power of the World Seed to fuse with the Immortal Moon Palace's World Source Seal. After fusing everything, Su Fong activated the purple Qi Dharma spirit. Mysterious purple Qi lingered around his body. He then separated a part of it and sent it into the World Source Seal. Go! Su Fong used the power of the World Seed to communicate with the Immortal Moon Palace's World Source Seal. The world's divine might released instantly covered every corner of the Immortal Moon Palace. In an instant, everyone who cultivated with the Immortal Moon Palace's World Source Seal felt that there was an invisible force shrouding everyone, giving them protection to resist the disaster and misfortune brought by the 9 Serenity's demon god Nail. This invisible force was something that cultivators yearned for in their dreams, but couldn't obtain through cultivation. Fate. Over the past year, the life force of the cultivators of the great world had been constantly flowing away. They were approaching death step by step. How terrifying was this feeling? At this moment, the speed of the flow suddenly slowed down by nearly 10 times. Although it was still flowing away, there was a world of difference compared to before. It wasn't just these cultivators. The Immortal Moon Palace and the entire immortal world was covered by the world power that contained the supreme fate of the purple Qi Dharma spirit. The evil force that shrouded the space was also suddenly weakened by nearly 10 times equals N_1. It was just that the living things on the earth still couldn't radiate vitality. The Immortal Moon Palace is saved. Thousands of living things are saved. We thank Emperor Su. The Lord of the Immortal Moon Palace burst into tears and knelt down to Su Fong. The others also knelt down one after another, full of gratitude. Su Fong waved his hand and struck out a world power that swept everyone up. At this time, he had integrated with the Immortal Moon Palace's World Source Seal. In front of the cultivators of the Immortal Moon Palace, he was the absolute master. Under his divine might, even the Lord of the Immortal Moon Palace couldn't resist. With his brows tightly knitted, Su Fong fell into deep thought. A moment later, a resolute look flashed in Su Fong's deep eyes. He suddenly activated his dragon, subduing true body. A majestic force that only the Dragon Clan had exploded from Su Fong's body. His upper body turned into a dragon's body, covered with astonishing dragon scales. His left hand also turned into a ferocious dragon claw. The divine might of the fusion of dragon chi and wood elements spread out. His whole body was covered in green immortal light. The abundant life force made the originally weak cultivators of the Immortal Moon Palace suddenly invigorate. The people of the Immortal Moon Palace were suddenly aghast and retreated one after another. Lord Emperor Su, you are... While the Lord of the Immortal Moon Palace was asking, Su Fong suddenly formed a seal and struck out a green Xianguang, which fell into the world source galaxy of the Immortal Moon Palace. In an instant, the purple Qi of the purple Qi Dharma spirit and the green immortal light of the dragon subduing wood appeared in the dazzling galaxy. Su Fong once again used the world source seal to cover every inch of the immortal world with the aura stripped from his dragon, subduing true body. This time, the life force of the immortal world where the immortal moon palace was located was once again slowed down. Even the life that was about to wither faintly showed signs of revitalization. If it was just Su Fong's dragon subduing true body, of course, it would be impossible to have such an amazing ability. The main thing was that the world source seal and the aura of the dragon subduing true body were just a catalyst. The aura stripped from the dragon, subduing true body, stimulated the life force of nature's divine might, thus promoting the recovery of life force of all things. Lord Emperor Su is simply a god. The people of the immortal moon palace, besides being ecstatic, fell into a strong shock. At this time, if someone said that Su Fong was the reincarnation of a god, no one would doubt it. Only then did Su Fong reseal the world source seal of the immortal moon palace and send it deep into the ground. After doing all this, Su Fong returned to his normal state. His face was slightly pale, and the dragon chi in his body, and even the purple chi dharma spirit, were a little withered. Law reminded him from the blood jade in the depths of his body, Su Fong, if this continues, you won't be able to hold on for long. Maybe your true body will collapse because of this. And what you're doing is at most a relief, but not a cure. Law, no matter what, I have to try. Otherwise, I won't be satisfied. Su Fong responded very decisively. Law sighed and stopped persuading him. == Our download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review.